Good evening to the few of you that are here. Oh God. Oh God. Hey Dino, what's up? Hi to you. To the few of you that are here at the moment, the reason there's so few is because I had scheduled this episode to start at 10:30 Eastern, 7:30, so a half an hour from now. But since the game finished much earlier than I expected, I just decided, oh, what the hell? I'll go at 10 and get the misery over with. And hey, Carlos, I'm sad because my Detroit Lions shit the bed tonight. I'm not sad that they lost. I'm sad because of how they shit the bed in order to lose. Yeah, allowing San Francisco to score 27 unanswered points. Ridiculous. It's ridiculous. They went out in old school Detroit Lions fashion. So that's why I'm sad. So there you go. I didn't want them to go against the Swifties. Of course, I wanted them to go against the Swifties, but what are you gonna do? You know what though, Dino? It doesn't matter actually. Here's the thing. In retrospect, you can't blame it on the fourth downs because it's going aggressively on fourth downs that got Detroit to where they are this year, this whole season. So yeah, you can't, in retrospect, it's always easy to play the what if game, right? Oh, they lost by 3. Oh, so if they went for it, if they tried to get the field goal instead of going for it on 4th and 2, oh, then maybe you got a tie game, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't work that way. Not only did they go on 4th down all season long very aggressively, but from where they were, it would have been something like a 48-yard kick. I don't know. It would have been a long kick. So it's no guarantee that the kicker makes it, right? And then San Fran would have taken over from the same area of the field. So yeah, you can't really always look at it that way, Like I said, that's how they got to where they were this year, is by going aggressive on 4th down. So honestly, they turned it over a couple of times, which led to at least one touchdown. I can't remember. I'm so frazzled right now. But a couple of turnovers, the momentum, what happens when momentum shifts the other way drastically. All these great things start happening for the other team and bad things to the first team that was winning, right? I mean, come on, that crazy Brandon Ayuk catch, like a 50-yard bomb or something that bounced off the defender's face mask, and Ayuk still catches it at the 2-yard line. Insane. So yeah, what hey Mike, she's dating the Kansas City Chiefs. That's the team she's on. Bonjour mon ami, what's up, Lyle? There you go. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. 3-score lead, pathetic. They just collapsed. It was just like this collapse. Just typical sort of old school Lions kind of collapse. And yeah, there's one bad thing after another, whatever. It's like there's no excuse for that. It's really, you can't just blame it on, oh, we went for it on 4th down. It's not as simple as that. It's like it's a complete team collapse. When you play so amazingly well in the first half and you're up by 17, you can't just suddenly allow the opposition to score 27-0 in the second half. I mean, it just, you disappeared in the second half. Like, what is up with that? Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So, hey, naughty or nice. Like I said, I mean, I was saying kick it, take the points. When you're going for a potential Super Bowl berth, I would have still attempted the kick myself, but I can't blame Campbell for going for it, because like I was telling Dino, they've been going for it on fourth down all year long. They wouldn't have been in this game if they didn't go for it on fourth down all year long. So I can't blame that play. You know, it never comes down to as simple as just one play like that. So, but yeah, whatever, man. Hey, Mark, lovely to see you, sir. Good morning to you, of course. John Brown, hey, good evening to you, sir. And hey, Alex Garcia, illustrator. As a Bears fan, I have mixed feelings on this one. It's unfortunate, though. That's all right, man. It's all right. I appreciate it, though, you know. I appreciate that. Just my opinion, there wasn't enough time if they missed that fourth down. Yeah, whatever. Like I said, we can, you know how it is, right? Like, when these things happen, you can always nitpick. It's easy in hindsight to say, well, they could have done this and that and the other, because you know what the plays were and you know what happened on the plays they attempted. So it's not as simple as that. It's always way more complicated than just one play here, one play there. You know, the Lions had several dropped passes that could have and should have extended drives. You know, those are way more to me important. Plus the turnovers. Yeah, those things are more important to me than just one kick or whatever, you know. And remember, not only is it not guaranteed that they would have made the kick, but you can also nitpick. If you're going to nitpick for one team, you can nitpick for the other team and say, oh, well, what about Moody? Moody missed the 48-yard kick for the 49ers early on, right? I mean, if he doesn't miss, then, you know, they would have been, you know, whatever. You can't, it's not that simple. As long as it's not the Eagles going to the Super Bowl, I'm good with that. So, and I am not, but apparently Lyle is. Oh my gosh. What's up, Matt Kennedy? This is sports ball because the big game just finished. 2 games just finished this afternoon and evening. Yes, Matt. So that's why I had to get something off my chest. I had to talk about this, especially since my team lost. So no, not the big game. No, that's 2 weeks from tonight. 2 weeks from tonight. Yeah. So, by the way, Matt, hey, do you have time to stick around for a bit? By any chance, are you interested in jumping into the chat? Or you, Dino? Let me know. At least it's easier if I have somebody to bounce things off of, because otherwise, oh, you're okay. Not looking forward to the okay. So yeah, you're looking to go into traffic now. Oh, you're happy to? Oh, okay. You made it sound like you're just about to go driving somewhere. Nope. Okay, give me a second. The Glum episode. Yeah, excuse me, everyone. I am going to send a link to my friend Matt and see how he's able to do this. All right, Matt, I just sent you a link. So let's see if this works and see how that goes. Oh, you meant talking about the Super Bowl and it'd be no fun drive time. Right. Okay, cool. No worries, Matt. You should be in your that should be in your inbox in any case. Just pop in when you have a chance. And not you're nice. Aren't you a Michigan Wolverines fan? No Spartans. No Spartans. Yes. Yes. There we go. Michigan Wolverines. So at least I got a national championship out of it this year. Was hoping to do the double and have the state of Michigan win 2 back-to-back championships the same year in football. That would have been like incredible. But it is what it is. Yeah, I'm bummed. The game just finished, of course, and the way it ended, of course, I'm bummed. But I'll be okay tomorrow, and I'm happy that they got as far as they did. I with the defense they had. I mean, to me, that was their biggest weakness. Their defense. They can't tackle an open space. They cannot tackle. They just can't. They don't tackle one. So, yeah. So I knew that that was going to hurt them, and it did. So whatever. It is what it is. They got to shore up that defense, and if they keep that same offense, they can be killers next year. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, exactly. Oh, look at that! Look, we've got slowly but surely people finding out that I started early tonight, earlier than I should have. Just popping in to say good evening as I wait for my connecting flight. Wow, from OAX. Hey, Carl, I saw a picture. You were kind of in the background of somebody's picture that somebody posted on Facebook. That Ian, I think it was one of Ian's pictures. Anyways, I was gonna show it tonight. I was gonna show it, but then I asked permission, and he didn't want me to show anything because he says, "Oh, I don't know how other people would feel." Okay, so I respect that. Although I don't really understand now that I think about it, how is it any different if the pictures are already posted on Facebook publicly? What would it matter if I then grab them and post them on my channel? Not really sure how that works, but yeah, whatever. People are going to do what they're going to do, and got to respect my friend's wishes. So I decided to let it go and not show any pictures. And because my friend Jeff Singh was also at the convention, and he actually sent me 5 pictures yesterday, I was going to show those because he sent them to me and allowed me to show them. But then after what happened with the other pictures, I decided not to show those either because I figured, yeah, okay, if people are that touchy about, having themselves being shown, posted publicly online in one sort of social media place, but not in another, whatever, I don't know. To me, it's really all weird. But just in case anybody in those pictures doesn't want to be shown, whatever. Yeah, I decided not to show any pictures, and that's it. I guess unless I take the photos myself, I guess I'll never show pictures. Marcus, they had us in the first half. Well, yeah, obviously, and then everything fell apart. My girlfriend on fourth. Nah, everybody. We talked about that. We talked about that. It's easy to say that, Marcus. It's easy to say that, but like I was telling everybody earlier, the Lions went on it on fourth down. They went for it on fourth down all season long. That's how they got to as far as they got this year, by going for it on fourth down. And it would have been a long field goal. It's no guarantee that he's gonna make the kick. It never comes down to just one thing like that. All right, let me have my buddy Matt join me. What's up, Matt?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. How about yourself?
I'm good. I'm not looking forward to the traffic problem that is going to result of Vegas hosting the Super Bowl in a couple of weeks.
Right. Yeah, that's what you were saying. Yeah. I'm like, oh boy, yeah, that's not going to be a fun one. But maybe that's a reason for everybody to stay home on that day.
Whew, well, they didn't stay home for F1, so I doubt they'll stay home for football.
Look at this. Mike saying, I once saw myself in a photo about Phoenix Comic-Con. It was weird to find it in the wild. Okay, so there you go. Okay, so maybe that's why some people don't want me to show pictures that they already posted. But that's the thing, though, Mike. Tell me this, Mike. The pictures that I was going to show tonight were pictures that the person who I asked permission for, he posted publicly on Facebook. So let's say you were in the group shot or in the background of one of those pictures. It's already out there on Facebook, on one social media site. So once you're out there, would you be offended if suddenly you saw me or some other YouTuber post it? Just kind of saying, hey, look, some of our friends here at the convention, whatever. Would that bother you, even though you knew it was already maybe posted on another site? That's
well, if you're Green Lantern, it's possible that your Sinestro is in those photos, and they may not approve of it being hosted by the Corps, if you know what I'm saying. But I have a similar story where years ago. I was in Japan. I used to go quite a bit. And the hotel that I was staying at had taken pictures of my friends and I and then used them in advertisements. So I actually had my likeness without my permission used in advertisements for the Sakura Hotel in Jimbocho, yes, which they were using for 20 years.
Wow. Wow. You mean like billboards?
In their printed materials for come stay at the Sakura Hotel, on their website, on their social media. And what's funny is, I mean, they were using the same image. It was like 20 years old at the point where I finally became aware of it. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's kind of a little unethical. And very un-Japanese, by the way, for that to happen.
Really?
But in a way, I was kind of I was a little charmed by it too.
Thank you, Comic Art Boston. I appreciate it. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Thank you so much, and thanks for stopping by and saying hello. I appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, and Marcus, I saw your head on was it a Superman standee, cardboard standee? I saw that. I saw a picture of that. That's the only one I saw. And can you get autographed copies of what?
Of his photograph on Superman's head, I would hope.
Of the no, let us know exactly what you mean by that. Like I said, I didn't know the PCC photo. What's PCC? Oh, the Phoenix Comic Con. As for you sharing photos posted online, depends if they are posted to a public group or his personal page. It was his personal page. Oh, so you see a problem if it's on somebody's personal page, but not if it's in a group.
Limited audience. Whereas obviously, you know, a YouTube video is open to anybody.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense.
I don't get it. It's
I
so
prefer
weird.
to think that he was afraid your Sinestro was in the photo.
Oh, Marcus, you're talking about the Falcon Cat. You're looking for autographed copies from who? I don't have any copies of that. Oh, yeah, okay. I kind of wondered if you might have been meaning that. He's talking about your ads, Matt.
I have them somewhere on my computer, I'm sure, and if it prints out large enough, I'd be happy to send Marcus an autographed copy of the Sakura Hotel in Jimbocho ad featuring my 29-year-old likeness or so.
Okay. Wow. That's wild. Marcus is a legend in his own right. Exactly. And I didn't see any auction results myself, Marcus. Yeah, surprisingly, I got to tell you, I was kind of surprised that I didn't see a lot of. I expected tons of people to be posting pictures to their Instagram accounts. That's what I thought I'd see a bunch of. You know, I saw very little, a little bit here and there, very little overall. I was shocked. I was like, wow. And then I went to Facebook. That's why I went to Facebook, see if any of my friends posted stuff. A couple of guys did, but that's it. I was like, oh, okay. I don't know. Maybe it's part of that whole. Maybe everybody's more up on the whole social construct of should you or should you not post pictures that you took from public events because people in the background might get angry or something. You know?
But even their purchases, right? Like, so because I noticed this too. I was hoping honestly that there was going to be some kind of live feed, you know, from OAX, and then I understood, you know, that would suck for Bill, you know, like if he wants to be kind of engaged and feeling like he's there, that having a live stream is going to pull away from his fun and his ability to oversee things. And as we all know, anybody who's ever done this type of thing and overseen any kind of convention, any capacity, people just come up to you and ask you to handle different things, put out little fires, nothing crazy, you know, like, but,
yeah.
Oh, the power went out at our booth, you know, the power strip isn't working.
Right.
Any number of things can go wrong. So after I thought about it, it made sense that maybe that wasn't something that he was going to do, but I didn't see anybody posting auction wins. I didn't see really, I think, Jim Food posted some stuff he was looking at. I wasn't sure if it was stuff he was purchasing. He posted a video of him looking at this kind of awesome Pablo Marcos Vampirella page and kind of talking about it with somebody. It might have been Mateo Scalera, that just kind of looking at stuff and enjoying it. But that's kind of the only stuff I saw. Chris Snorik, I think, posted one image.
Yeah, I saw his. Yeah, I think that's the one that that Mike is talking about
Yeah,
here, right?
the
Oh, the
thing
thing
piece.
piece.
Yeah, yeah,
And like he said, nothing else and no prices,
yeah.
and like Marcus said, I expected more pics of the actual art. I didn't see
Right.
that either. It's pretty weird,
Even
right?
like, and this killed me. Like there was a great setup video that I don't think popped up until maybe Friday morning of Jimmy Palmiotti setting up his booth.
Yeah.
And he and Amanda were like the only people in the hotel, like
Oh yeah.
set up, like it was just completely blank in the background. And just like nonchalantly, oh yeah, here's some stuff I've got for sale. And it was like this thick of like Jimmy Palmiotti pages, no idea
Yeah.
of exactly what was in it, what was priced. He just did kind of this like fast run through, and you're like, like I could watch, 45 minutes of him just kind of going through and showing the stuff that he would have, which of course would hurt because we can't buy it there. And I think
Right.
one of the rules of the show is that the stuff there was, maybe that's the deal, is it's only supposed to be for sale at the show. And people misunderstood if that meant that they couldn't publicize sales from the show, or if
Right.
some people who are buying stuff are waiting to pop it up on their own personal calf galleries and then get those calf likes. So like, because that all means something at the end of the year if you're looking to bring home a trophy, which I never have any illusions about winning.
A trophy. A trophy for a popularity contest. That's awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, like Marcus says, he has this interesting way of saying things. He's making it sound as if we all know about this, but clearly we know nothing, at least most of us. It sounds like he's trying to say that J.G.
Jones
Jones
art might have gone missing.
gone missing either from him or maybe some dealer or collector or something. I don't know, but Marcus says they said 2 of his pieces are missing.
I have an alibi.
That's a little bit different. It's tough. Often, man, I've heard stories, Matt, where like people went to a con and they set up a booth, and at the con they start spreading the word. Oh my God, this and that got stolen or whatever, right? And the word spreads all over social media, and then they get home and they realize, oh yeah, I put it in this portfolio, not in that one, and I didn't know it, and it's like, oh Jesus,
I would be shocked at that specific show that something got stolen. Granted, we don't know everybody that bought tickets to it, and certainly a much wider net than just calf people was there. And not that we know every calf person or would personally vouch for necessarily everybody, but it would really, really shock me if a piece had actually gotten legitimately stolen, wasn't misplaced, or someone sells a page, they buy multiple pages, it gets put in a pile, and they hand the pile to you. That happened with me and Anthony. Maybe back in 2009, where I sold him some stuff, but not everything in the pile, and then he handed it back to me. And when I was pulling it out to show another dealer, I saw that there was a full Archie story. I'm like, that's not mine. That's got to be Anthony's. And so I just ran it back to his booth, but he didn't even know it was missing. But those types of things also happen with stunning regularity.
No, exactly. Marcus is also letting us know that J.G. Jones's wife apparently, went on a tirade.
That's a loaded term.
He thinks that they just left it at home. That's what I'm saying. Who knows? I would be careful about, like, listen, we don't know any details. It could be that JG remembers literally showing it to somebody, right? And then you had it and suddenly it's gone. But still, until you look through every single page of every binder and, every box, but maybe he did. I'm not saying he didn't. Maybe he did. But or
you slide artwork over another piece of artwork in the same page, and that leaves an empty plate in your book, and you don't realize that you've covered another piece because everything's the same size. It's definitely possible.
Yeah. No, it's like Mike is saying here, 2 pieces were either stolen or accidentally picked up. I suspect stolen if they haven't been returned by now. I mean, it's fine. Anything's possible. I guess we'll have to, it's just fresh. It just happened, I guess, this weekend. So I guess we'll have to see, right? What sort of comes of it all, and what details come out from JG, I guess, and his wife. Mike also saying maybe they'll turn out when people go through their art purchases. Hopefully that'd be nice. Look at that, Carl, getting on a plane and coming back and talking again. From what it's worth, from my limited point of view, no tirade was witnessed by me.
Yeah, tirade implies a certain
Going crazy.
volume, and yeah.
Yeah, you're going nuts and screaming and whatever, Yeah. I see. He's clearing up saying on social media, like it's
I
posting a bunch
mean,
of messages.
was it all in caps? I mean, how does one, delineate from being upset to an actual quote unquote tirade?
What's up, number one Marvel fan? Tommy, who is in Florida at the convention. What's up? What's up? And look at that. Ian.
Hey, there's Ian.
There's my buddy. There's the man to whom I asked if I could borrow the pictures and post them. And there you go. So I had to respect Ian, and I did that, and that's why I'm not showing any pictures tonight, everybody. Good to see you, Ian. I know you had a great time, so letting everybody know, Ian had a great time. And hey, met number one Marvel fan too. There you go. That's the best part of it all, isn't it, Carl? Meeting some people that you already know from online. That's always fun. Got no qualms with the side of my head being shown.
Which side?
You.
Which side? Because
side,
everybody's got a good side and a bad side. So
that's funny. A bunch of us. You're bad. You're tuning in with a bunch of people at the bar. That's awesome. That's awesome.
I'm doing dry January, so that would have been my kryptonite, is going to that convention, being invited out for whiskeys, by Snorek and some of those guys, and me having to be like, can't do it. I'd feel terrible.
That's funny. Hey, Marcus, are you trying to say that the first thing that was put up for auction, is that what you mean by number one? Mannix ended up buying it? Is that what you're trying to say? You have such a weird way of like
expressing
yourself and telling us things and making me have to guess everything. And Mike says a tirade equals 3 or more exclamation marks.
I'm writing that down. I'm going to accept that as the zeitgeist explanation of a tirade. I'm going to consider that consensus. 3 exclamation marks or more is a tirade. Oh, or is it just 3? And is 4 a full scale, calamity? Like what kind of words do we have to
calamity? I like that. Carl, Tom, and you picked up Mannix pieces for the first time. Wow, that's very cool. Maybe. That's what Marcus is. I was gonna say maybe that's what Marcus is saying. So.
Number one Marvel fan.
Number one Marvel fan. Okay. You could at least put number one Marvel, and then I would have caught that probably. Yeah, and Carl. So that's cool. I look forward to both of you posting them. Although actually, number one Marvel fan only seems to post on Facebook, and I never go to that group anymore. But Snorek and all of us were at Penthouse Party last night. Cool.
I was at a Penthouse Party last night, but it was a different Penthouse Party. AVN is in town this weekend.
Hey Rick, good to see you, man. Wow, you're on the West Coast, and the game finished like 50 minutes ago. Wow, I didn't expect you to be late, but that's cool. Mm-hmm. Lovely to see you as always, of course. And a couple of guys from Canada were there. Another guy like Marcus, Tom. What were their names? Just in case I know them. Hello.
They're making us do some work here. It's like I feel like really, after solving the last one, I should have yelled, "What's in the needle?" But I think we've done a good job of figuring it out thus far, and so we shall continue to unwrap these mysteries.
Yes, and I mean, Tommy, I don't know if you're talking about. I know my friend Jeff was there. He's from Canada. I know he was there, but I
would like to meet Jeff at some point. I've been buying stuff from Jeff for well over a decade, for sure.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Well, hopefully you get a chance at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus wants you to give us an AVN report. And Carl, no Penthouse, but there was a woman dancing in a cage for some reason. What?
Another mystery.
In a speakeasy type bar? Accessed via a comic shop last night in Orlando?
Like you
Yeah,
push
well, are you
aside
being
the wall of
serious?
manga, and all of a sudden you're in this like
Like,
secret strip club where there's a pole and dancing and things like that. What a concept! Comics and other
I
things.
I really need to know if he's being serious. Like, can you just confirm? Are you being serious? Or are you joking here? Sometimes humor and stuff it gets lost in translation.
This
Carl,
tracks for Orlando. Absolutely tracks for Orlando. I could totally
from
see this as a reality.
but through the back of a comic shop.
Sure.
Wow, that would be cool if that's true. Holy shit, that would be cool. Okay, and can't recall. They said they went to Jeff's party up there. Jeff didn't have a party. Maybe referring to the one. Jeff is a member of the CFA APA. So maybe they got together and had like a little party thing or whatever. Maybe that's what you mean. How many AVN ads involve stepfathers and stepdaughters? Markets. No pictures, no names. What are you complaining about, Mike? Jeff is truly a nice person. Oh, is a truly nice person. Certainly is. Finally got to meet him in person and hope to meet Ruben in person one day too. And I hope to meet you too. I don't do enough traveling for it to be very likely though. At some point I probably will. Just don't know where it's going to be and when. So you were dead serious. Apocalyptic themed bar, access to the back of the comic shop. That is so cool. Wow. Who invited you? Whose shop was it? Must be
What's
some.
the name of that shop? I'm writing that down.
Yeah. Or at least who owns the shop? It must be somebody we know. All right. Have a good evening. Thank you, Comic Art Boston. Appreciate you dropping by and staying for as long as you could. Can't recall their names. We were all drunk. There was a lot of whiskey there. Okay. No problem. Hey, Scott. What's up, my friend? What else we got? Gods and Monsters was the comic shop. Okay. And the bar was called Vault. Okay. Well, maybe the you Floridians who live in the Orlando area now that are watching this or listening are going to excitedly go and check out the comic shop called Gods and Monsters. If only to ask in the middle of the day if they can show you how to get access to the bar in the back and check it out, Oh, wow. Southern Comic Geek. What is up, Jason Richardson? What is up? Jason, I thought you were going to the con. Are you at the con? Let us know if you're at the con. What's up? Rich Cirillo. Hey, what's up, my friend? Again, I just left you a message on Instagram, and my condolences, of course, on the passing of your father-in-law. Buddy of mine found it, and it was about a mile from the hotel. Wow. Okay. It's funny how he just finds his comic shop, and the owner decides, I've never seen you before in my life, but I'll invite you to this. Well, wait a second. I guess it's not like it's illegal to make those things. You can't. It's not illegal, right? So I guess it doesn't matter.
I mean, you need a liquor license, I'm sure.
Oh, that's true. You need a liquor license,
and a service license, which is different than a retail
Yeah.
license.
That's true.
Florida's pretty easy to set stuff up from what I gather, as far as new businesses and even restaurants and drinking establishments. Certainly by volume and by population, I think the state of Florida has more strip clubs than any other state, including Texas, which is kind of hard to beat.
Mm-hmm. I've heard.
So I hear.
Yeah. So Ian said that the penthouse party was fun. Miller's was a frequent stop. What's Miller's? The bar or what? And picked up a few pieces. Okay, great time. Good for you. And now you're just getting back from Disney World with the kids. Awesome. Yeah, it's an awesome vacation for you and the family for sure. Okay. So you didn't go. Okay. Thank you for clarifying. You're very welcome, Rich. You're very welcome. Dino, sounds cool. A place for long boxes and Long Island iced teas. Yeah, exactly. And all right, cabin doors closing. Have a great evening, Carl. Awesome. Have a safe flight back. Speak easy. Yes. I'm not sure what you mean by that.
He's punning.
It wasn't an official speakeasy. Just that kind of a vibe.
Oh, well, it's called the Vault, so that's kind of.
Yeah. Let's say it was the best art con I've been to. Everyone was there and had folios. It was amazing. Okay. Well, I would expect that at that type of a con. You need the secret password Cox, maybe. Rick Walsh says, more dollar bin comics sell after a few drinks. Yeah, I guess. Maybe
And
he's
then
got
get left behind, and then you can sell them to the next guy.
it. Exactly. They walk in through the front. The owner ushers them into the back immediately, liquors them up, and then brings them back out to the front to buy and spend their money, right? And then they leave without their comics and sells them to the next guy who walks in.
Yeah.
And he repeats the same sort of thing over and over.
A much safer scam than the losing a kidney
Yeah.
thing that can frequently accompany the speakeasy entry.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. And Cox is the secret password for AVS. Yeah, but spelled differently. COTKS. Yeah, exactly. Hello, Maki Poo Poo. Maki Poo Poo, you did not go? You did not make the flight from New York to the Orlando con? I thought you were going, but a lot of people were going, so I'm forgetting who said they were going and who didn't, you know? But
I planned on going, but I wasn't exactly sure, so I was waiting and had a stretch of time kind of dedicated to being able to do it, taking time off from work. And then I spent so much money between Christmas and the first week of the year just buying, as prices on collectibles just went to all-time lows. And I recognized it's never getting this good again for some of this stuff. And so I just went all in on a lot of things. And I could have still made the trip to Orlando. I've got family down there, so I wouldn't have had to spend money on a hotel and things like that. But being in that room and not having money to spend would have driven me up the wall. I'd rather not be there.
Okay. Yeah, that's I get that. I get that for sure. I don't know if you're referring to me and Matt, Ian, but if you are, I thank you. That's very sweet of you. Thank you.
Yeah. I see Ian quite frequently here in Vegas.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. OAX is the best show that I wasn't able to attend. Some good friends picked up prearranged commissions when I had to cancel the trip the last minute. Yeah, understandable. That's good. That's good.
Because that was one of the rules. You had to pick up stuff.
Right, in person.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy, but I get it. Yeah.
Good branding exercise.
Me and Kazra was smoking down at the pool for an hour till 1 p.m. 1 p.m.? You mean 1 a.m.?
That's a half hour. That's not, I mean.
I'm confused.
That's humble.
Last night? Oh, okay. Oh, you had some conflict and you couldn't go because of it. Okay. Jason says, that was the same way for me, Matt.
Yeah. To have like all that art and not be able to and see a piece that you really want and then see it go to somebody else because they can do it and you can't, or you start making really poor personal and financial decisions based on, let's max this card out, let's max that card out. And I'm a guy who I don't like to carry any debt. So
yeah, me too.
Yeah,
for sure. I'm all about the being smart with the money for sure,
Mm-hmm.
But hey, number one Marvel fan, since you and Ian seem to be the only ones here who are still at the show. I mean, what was your favorite part? Anything exciting happen other than, I know you met a lot of people. Did you buy art? Let us know about anything like that. Any story that's exciting that you feel like you need to tell somebody? I don't know. Let us know. It's just kind of weird that, like I said, not just the photos that haven't come out very much and photos of the artwork or the people. No stories have really come out other than the couple of people who have posted a few photos, It's just weird. It's kind of like, okay. I mean, I guess over the coming week, well, that's when that stuff will start,
They may still have the love buzz, right? Like they're still experiencing it and can't quite articulate it, and maybe they don't even know exactly what they've bought yet until they get home and they're like, oh yeah, I went on a crazy spending spree.
Yeah. But number one Marvel fan, were you at the auction by any chance? Did you watch the auction? Are there any prices that you remember for any pieces? If you were there, let us know that. That would be interesting. Wanted some pieces from Veronica Fish, and thanks to Matt Kennedy for getting me interested. I reached out to Veronica online and she hooked me up. Awesome.
Yeah.
Good on you, Matt. Good on you. That's cool.
Yeah, the Fishes are great, man. They're both just wonderful people. I
yeah,
love
I've never met them, but I heard. Yeah.
they were living in Salem for quite a while, and so I have an amazing
Okay.
affinity for the city of my birth. But I think they live a little bit further west now, but it's still like very, very much in that same part of New England that I spent most of my early life until I flew the coop.
Okay. Yeah, Ian, it's. I'm sure a lot of people are taking flights now, for sure. Although others, I would think, are probably going out to dinner and stuff. Just the ones that are not leaving until tomorrow, I would think, are grouping up and going out to dinners. Yeah. Um, yeah, exactly. Like Carlos says, if you have a number one Marvel fan, oh, so you're saying, oh, you want to see, but then you're such a Marcus wannabe. Tommy, how about letting us know what piece is so we don't have to drag it out of you?
Yep.
How about letting us know what you want? If you don't want to share the price, that's okay, but can you tell us what you want so we can revel in the joy that you must have felt? I mean,
Now he has to share the price. He has to tell us.
Seriously,
No secrets, no secrets. This is not a safe place. This is no secrets here.
Yeah,
This is a
exactly.
place of danger. This is a place of intrigue. This is why we do this. This is why you tune in on a Sunday. Like after your team loses, it's like you have to pull this information out.
Yes. So, okay, drinking and meeting everyone, that's cool. Everyone was there looking at folios. Okay, so all the socializing, hanging with Jeff, Alberto, Jason, James, Fish, many of us just brought art and hung out. Cool, very good. And no brawling artist stories. Not so far anyways. And
Speaking of which, I don't want to tell tales out of school. I know that people have written about this, and I did not witness it firsthand, so this is a secondhand story. But one of the all-time great stories of an artist feud involves, at a certain point in the early '80s, I think it was the Mid Ohio Con, and then 2 weeks later was a convention, I think, in Colorado. It might have been the Mile High Show or something like this that long ago.
Roughly how long ago are you talking about?
Early '80s.
Early '80s,
or
okay.
mid '80s. We'll say mid '80s.
Okay.
And quite famously, Dave and Denny Sim got into a huge row in the middle of the convention on the convention floor that continued out of the convention floor into the front of the hotel into an actual what was the word that we saw earlier with 3 exclamation points? We're gonna push this to 4. We're gonna call this, a full scale kerfuffle of the highest order. In which point, Denny Sim storms off, and
don't you mean Denny Lubert?
Well, this was when she was still Denny Sim,
Oh.
and so she disappears for a week, and then shows up at the at this other convention, which I believe was the Mile High or some convention in Colorado, getting off of the back of Paul Smith's motorcycle.
What?
Yeah.
Paul Smith?
It's a really, really famous story because he was like the star Marvel artist that, at the time, from X-Men. I think 6 from Sirius might have been coming out. But,
Wait.
Oh, that was Khaleesi, but this is Paul Smith. It is Paul Smith.
Paul Smith. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So sorry about the misspeak about 6 from Sirius. But, this was a very known story back in the days where you would read Comics Journal to find out the skinny, because of course there was no internet, and because they were absolutely not afraid of lawsuits. So they would just say things, and it's very meant. The Comic Book Legal Defense Fund, for those who are unaware, was actually set up to defend the Comics Journal against a lawsuit from Michael Fleischer, the writer, who sued them for running a quote that Harlan Ellison had said disparaging him. And Harlan Ellison called Michael Fleischer a bug F, and was sued. And of course, Harlan Ellison won every lawsuit, whether he was the person filing it or whether he was the target. But that's what actually helped set up the Comic Book Defense Fund.
Crazy. That's wild. Well, good story, Matt. Thank you.
Yeah.
The gallery art was insane, says number one Marvel fan. Rich got texted that a lot of the auction prices, a lot of the auction price is texted. He thinks the Hue sold for just under 10K. All right. Then the Mannix Sentinel went for $3,800. Well, I don't know why I'm kind of saying it with a surprised voice. To be honest, I have literally zero idea what Mannix charges for his commissions. So no idea of his market value.
That seems a bit higher from what I've seen. I'm not sure what the size of that piece might have been, and that could have been a thing. I know that there was also there's like a 2-foot by 3-foot piece that someone did as a recreation of their prior work that was part of that auction that was probably going to be pretty expensive. Now I can't remember who it was. The Secret Wars 8 cover.
Oh.
So that'd have been McLeod. Would that have been Bob McLeod?
The cover?
Yeah, he did a 2 by 3 foot recreation of that Spider-Man pose.
2 by 3 foot?
Yeah.
Mike Zek.
Was it Zek?
Well, Zek did the cover.
Yeah, Zek did that cover. Was it Zek? Maybe.
Yeah. Mike McLeod might have inked it. I don't know. But...
Right.
Yeah. Wait. Secret Wars. Yeah.
That was Zek, right?
Yeah. 2 by 3 foot. Wow.
Someone did it. Maybe someone did it as a tribute to Zek, and it's not Zek, but it was somebody else known.
Okay.
But I did see that being discussed this past week, and that was being saved for the auction.
Oh.
Okay. But that's at that point, that's pop art. I mean, that's like legit pop art.
Right. Thank you, Tommy. So you got a Punisher, Hembeck, and the Amor Thing piece. Okay, congratulations. And yeah, let us know. Did you feel that the bidding, was it fierce, or did it seem slow? How did you feel about it? I'm curious about that too. Wanted a few others, but Mason bid and won. Josh was awesome to hang with. What does that mean? Who's Mason? Mason bid and won. Okay. And Josh. Okay. All right. I'm too tired to do a guessing. Too much of the guessing game stuff. Does anybody know how much the Veronica fish went for at auction? Let Maki Poo know, of course.
And this was all going for the Heroes Initiative. That's what they were raising money for with the auction.
I'm not even sure, but I think it was. Mm-hmm. But I'm not positive, but I think so. Ian picked up Annihilation Conquest pages. What a shock! Guardians.
Yeah, you could have knocked me over with a feather.
Wow, and Cosmic Powers Unlimited pages. Wow. You picked them all up from like dealers, collectors, or both, I'm assuming, Ian? And a single page Cosmic Powers. Thank you. Well, we don't need to know anything. Just say I picked up a bunch of Guardians of the Galaxy art. That wraps it up in one fell swoop. Auction bidding had a few heavy bidding pieces. Okay, so some of the pieces were strong, and the other ones maybe just sort of average, I guess, or something. G'day, all the way from Oz. Lovely to see you, David. And g'day, Matt.
Hey.
We each get our own g'day from
I
Australia.
love it.
That's awesome. Look at my
tirade. I added an exclamation point and upgraded it to a kerfuffle.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, interesting. So the entire auction was filmed. I guess Bill will be posting that at some point somewhere.
Editing, yeah, I'm sure, right?
And it was also awesome hanging out with Josh. Oh, okay, that's what you were talking about. I don't know who that is, but I'm glad you had a great time. Mm-hmm. Does saying POS twice equal? Is it like worthy of 3 exclamation marks?
She must have called somebody a POS in her post twice in the single post. Okay. That might be 4 exclamation points when combined. But as we know, 2 and 2 is different than 4, so it's.
Yeah. Now Ian's getting in on the confusion. Decent balance on prices. Oh, decent. A decent balance on prices. Okay.
We'll go with that.
Okay. And you'll see me in a lot of photos and videos soon, I'm sure. Yeah, you drunk, I'm sure. With a lot of YouTubers are filming.
Yeah.
And look at that, Eric B. What's up, Eric?
Hello.
5 minutes. Wow, I can't
You
believe
said
it.
a lot of YouTubers. Are there that many
Yeah,
YouTubers in
yeah.
cap?
Like, I mean, there's not that many YouTubers in the art hobby. There's like Bill, me, um, Nikki B.
Nikki B. Yeah.
See, those are the only sort of shows and channels that are kind of like, really art focused. And you got Karen, you got well, Klavi used to do content, but he hasn't really done much in the last couple of years. There's really not many people. Let's be honest.
Right.
Jason
So
and
I'm
you got
wondering where some of
Carl.
the comic book influencer guys getting in on the action and covering OAX because it's the first OAX. So did you get like
Right.
Golden Age Guru or Tom 101 or one of those cats, kind of cruising in? I mean, we know that some of them are art collectors. So I guess that would potentially be a possibility. But there was
Yeah.
a lot of stuff. Like I mean, obviously AVN's not so related to comic book art, but Penthouse Comics did have a booth at AVN.
Okay.
There was in Pasadena was a Pasadena comic convention this weekend. There's obviously the convention in Europe that Albert Moy was at.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Angoulême.
Yeah, so a lot of
Yeah.
stuff kind of going on.
Yeah. So he's saying that the Secret Wars Spidey piece went very high. How much is high? Are you still drunk, Tommy? Tell me if you're still drunk. Just admit it. The All Red was 4.2K. Thank you, Carlos. That's good. Thank you for the information. Beatty did the recreation. Okay.
Oh,
John Beatty.
did he ink Zek
I mean, I guess
on
he
the
might have
original?
inked that cover. Yeah. Thanks. Look, a rare, very clear sentence by Marcus, but we don't have to guess. John Beatty did the ink.
He did do the inks. Okay, perfect. I was about to look that up.
And also, Rich confirms he's the one who did the
recent
recreation. Okay. And Carlos also confirming that as well. Okay, so he was asking 5K for his large pre-con commissions. What? Who?
Beatty?
John Beatty?
I mean,
1,000 for large pre-con commissions? I guess we're not going to go Beatty. Okay. Someone said the auction went too long. Oh, really? Hate when that happens, when they live auctions and they go too. It's like it drags and drags, and
well, he's saying
to come up.
They did the good stuff first, so that gives everybody a chance to leave the room
at the end, right?
Whereas that's the opposite model, right?
But that's the problem, right? Okay. Again, I don't like the terminology of the good stuff. I know. Look, I'm not getting offended. I know what he means, right? But the problem with doing that is, I'm not looking to spend tons of money on pieces anymore. So I probably, if there was anything for me, it would have probably been in the not so good stuff portion. And I wouldn't want to have to sit there hour after hour or whatever, like just for some like smaller type piece. It's like, it makes me I would rather be like, you know what? I can live without it.
Most auctions, this is probably not the case. And this is not obviously the expertise of the people involved.
It was for the Hero Initiative.
It was for the Heroes Initiative. Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, so good. So they raised some money for a good cause. I think that a lot of times, you've been to the heritage auctions and you can kind of like skip ahead and see what's going to be on the docket and figure it out. And this is probably the case because it's a live auction and not, they weren't really advertising what was going to be available beforehand, that, you wouldn't know, right? Like if you did want to wait for the $300 to $500 stuff, you could be there a while. And then, are you afraid to like miss it happening while you run out to grab a drink? That usually you do it in sessions, right? So you'd be like, okay, session 1 is going to be high profile artworks expected to go between this amount and this amount, then take, a recess, come back. Session 2 is going to be this amount of work from this end to this end. And that gives people a chance to kind of figure it out. I would imagine that probably didn't happen, but that's probably something to look at to adjust and move forward with in the subsequent shows.
Right.
But if they did do that, then awesome. They're already a step ahead.
Right. Yeah. So Tommy's telling us that the reason it was slow at first anyways is because I forgot that Nick and Jimmy Palmioni were doing the emceeing of the auction.
Right.
And Nikki talks a hell of a lot. So that's when you got a talker, that's why in all seriousness, I would never have a talker be the MC of the auctioneer.
But as someone who has sold many a piece through Heritage, I wish that they had someone like, Nick Barucci talking up pieces, because sometimes, I mean, aside from how frequently at Heritage they mispronounce people's names,
Right.
mispronounce words, make fun of foreign culture, and completely just do not get things, that they also spend no time on stuff. They don't even read the description that you supply them. So, as a seller, and as obviously wanting to raise a lot of money for a good cause, I can see why, they might have done that. But yeah, I think if it were separated into sessions, that might have been probably a little bit more comfortable for everybody.
Yeah. Bootlegging. Dan is letting us know that a notable trading card YouTuber was there, and he won Aranga's auction piece. That's interesting. Okay.
That's if this were Facebook, that would be a vague booking post. But we do thank you for the information.
Lucky Boo Boo saw a few videos on YouTube already from Lakeview Collection. Is that the name of the channel, do you mean? But
He's the trading card guy for sure.
Oh, okay. Focuses only on trading cards. Okay, so that's the guy then. Okay. All right. The Comic Den on YouTube filmed all days. Oh, maybe he's the guy who was hired to be one of the guys who was supposed to be there filming on behalf of Bill. I don't know. I heard somebody said that 4 different videographers were hired to film stuff. So yeah, I guess we'll find out soon. Were there any particular artists who had unimaginable cues? Yeah, let us know, anybody. Ian, if you're still there, or Tommy, if you're still listening, which I'm sure you are. Did any artists have really, really long lines, more than the average, let's say? DT Geek was there. So that's another YouTuber. What's that? I don't even know. It sounds vaguely familiar, but I'm not really sure. And Tommy's confirming.
Unfamiliar.
Okay, you are hungover. Excellent. Okay, I appreciate you. Hey, I appreciate you being here since you're hungover. That's pretty awesome, man. I'm needed to take care of kids. I wish I could stay. Would love to chat more. No worries, Ian. Thank you. I appreciate you coming by and sharing what you have. Manix asking for the large commissions at 5K.
Holy cow.
And what did he get for the standard ones? The little sort of like the ones that are, I don't know, they appear to be around this, the ones that most people get. That means those are still at least 2 to 3, I would think. That's incredible.
I mean, that's interesting to me. Like, I have art that I like. I have, West Coast Adventures.
I only sort of found out about him recently after this whole CGC scandal.
Yeah. He's been under fire for not asking the hard questions and for receiving an award. I think that the smart thing would have been like, yeah, keep your award, and here comes a hard question. And instead, it kind of made them look complicit in, glossing over that and then just not saying anything about the 9/9 screenings. But I think, when you obviously I have stuff that I collect. I have a style that I like. Everybody does. I'm often kind of surprised by how fast some people's price point accrues when other people's doesn't. And
you mean art?
Yeah.
Is
Mannix, how many published comic covers does he have?
Does he even have any?
That's what I'm talking about. So
right.
$5,000 for a large commission. He's doing better than a lot of working professionals.
Yeah, for sure. The Gerhard piece went for around 10K. Gerhard had big lines and sold out. Wow, really?
Well, that was a jam piece, right? Like the one that went for big bucks. It was.
Oh, it was
when the background.
The background, right?
Yeah,
right. He also, so by he, I mean number one Marvel fan Tommy is saying that the Sean Gordon Murphy piece went really low. Interesting. Well, what? It was a commission. Like, what was it? What was it? Let us know what it was. Because that's kind of weird. What do you mean by low? Because I mean, when you're getting $1,000 for like a 2x3-inch little postage stamp piece of art.
Hey, you could buy a full size prelim from me for less than $1,000 of a splash page, of a nice splash page.
Yeah.
Plug. But yeah, it would be a 2-hour show, but I'm sure fun.
Fair.
1,800 bucks, I guess. Mannix is getting for an A3.
Oh, okay.
Power to him, man. Power to him.
I got Simone Bianchi piece coming. Let's see what it is yet. No worries about the thin piece. Okay.
You only buy published work, right?
Me?
Yeah.
For the yeah. I mean, I from time to time purchased non-published work, very rarely, but sometimes, yeah, mostly just published. And more often than not, if I buy unpublished, it's like an unpublished page that was intended to be published.
Right. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, and there's from the investment angle of valuing collectibles, there's no doubting that the provenance of a published piece is what attributes value to the artwork. That the going rate of an artist at any given time can affect the price of new pieces, but often that will drop the price on past commissions. So
Right.
the thing that keeps it equatable to any kind of market constant is going to be whether or not it's published. And that's so it's kind of that's what's again, I don't want to degrade anybody for any amount of money they get for what they do, but as a collector, I'm constantly thinking about if I had to sell this because of an emergency in 6 months, could I sell it for at least what I've got into it? And
No,
a
yeah,
commission
sure.
piece, that's almost never the case.
Right. Right, for sure. Oh yeah, and I think most of us, I mean the vast majority, I'm talking, upwards of 98, 99%, I'm sure, feel that same way where it's like, even if you say, no, I don't really do it for investment, you're no doubt still thinking, I'd be happy at the very least. I still would like to get out with my money back if I can, right? Like,
Yeah.
you kind of as a minimum, right? So,
And
yeah,
because I've tracked it. I wrote a piece for Forbes 15 years ago, I think, talking about how the best investment you can make in art at all is published illustration work. That the rate at which it accrues value over 10 years supersedes every other market, including the fine art market, like blue chip stuff. And the return on investment for a blue chip work, if you get back 20% more than you paid, that's almost unheard of.
right,
In 10 years in comic collecting, although we're now getting into that, very modern era where there's not as much nostalgia connected to it as there were, say, for 90s collectors buying 70s art, but it has held pretty closely,
right,
can accrue anywhere from 4 times to 20 times the value initially paid. But
right.
that, of course, changes when people are charging more for their pages at the get-go.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Thank you, Matt.
Sure.
Very cool. I just wanted to say thank you, Dan, of course. I'm yanking chains, man. I'm yanking chains. But thank you. Yes, Spidey hits. No, you're right. I haven't heard, but still, you might as well say it because you never know. You never know. Some of us who, even though we don't really collect, some of us don't collect comics. A lot of us really in this hobby don't collect comics or read comics much anymore. We still look at other I'm not into comics anymore, but I still watch comic book content sometimes on YouTube for some reason. Don't ask me why. I don't know why. Out of curiosity, whatever. So
I'm allergic to cats. I watch cat videos all day. It's like the heart wants what the heart wants, Ruben.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Absolutely. Wow, the Aranga piece went for $2,500. What was it again? Remind me.
That's less surprising to me than the
Yeah?
Mannix piece going for $5 by a lot.
Okay. Well, again, to be honest, Aranga is my friend, but I also, since I don't collect commissions, I don't ask,
Right.
sort of personal things like, hey, what do you charge for this stuff or whatever? I'm just like, whatever. I don't ask.
And that's probably a record. Like, that's probably a record price for his work. And it's probably because it was in an auction where paying meant that you were contributing to a good cause and got it right off. But still, I mean, in the fact that he is such a big presence among our community, I can see people, I like that dude. I like his posts. I like his collection. I want to buy that piece. But, I still think that, it's very to me surprising to see Mannix piece go for $5K. And again, like you say, I'm unaware of his work actually being published.
Okay. Now, Marcus did offer up A5 is around 400, A4 is around 800, and then A3 around 15 to 18. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. This depends on what it is. And Mannix is published in variant covers here, but where though? Like what smaller publishers?
Store exclusives, I'm betting, like where they do a store exclusive,
right,
and
right,
kind of do your own thing.
Right. Published
That's
in
a
the
little bit
Philippines.
different than being paid by the publisher.
I will say, our friend, mutual friend, Jeff Wedding.
Yep.
He actually showed me a graphic novel collection of Mannix's work that he did in the Philippines.
Right.
I believe it was called, I think he's two of them. I think one is called 12 and the other one is called 14. Yeah, just literally the numbers. I don't know what that means.
Right.
Yeah, and he showed me a little bit of it or whatever. Oh, okay, that's pretty cool. He showed me a video on YouTube or whatever. So, oh, wow, it's really neat stuff. But yeah, here in North America, he's doing pretty well for a guy who is really not known, like outside of the comic art hobby, the original art hobby. I don't really think he's really known. You can say he's pretty much unknown,
I mean, I've got in back of me in this wall over here an amazing piece from Zoe LeKay from one of her fine art exhibitions. See, Zoe LeKay.
Yeah.
So, but she's now known as a variant cover artist, but she does get hired by Dynamite and Zenescope and publishers to do variant covers for them, not as like shop exclusives. And as a result, she got so well known because she's an amazing illustrator for these comic book variants that all of her fine art inventory sold immediately. So it's interesting. Like if you're a really, really good illustrator, once you get published,
right,
your commission list starts to fill up like a dance card on prom night.
Right. Wow. So Eric says that he could be wrong, but I think that the Murphy was a page from his Beyond the White Knight. A nice tank on it. Nobody
cars. Yeah.
Or of a prison break scene. Oh, okay. Well, and number one Marvel fan told us it went for 1,500. I mean, to me, that sounds like more than enough for a page that doesn't have characters in costume.
Right.
Whatever.
Probably less than if it had been sold by Metropolis, as part of an exhibition. But would Metropolis have put a piece on the wall that didn't have a character?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for the info, Eric. Appreciate that. I can't say, but Mannix will be coming to America Comics real soon. Keep watching. Well, listen, he's getting really popular within the hobby.
Yeah.
Word gets out that way. Editors who, they hear about this through the hobby and, ultimately end up saying, oh, look at this guy. Yeah, it's pretty nice stuff. And they approach them and you want to do some variants for us? And there you go. So.
And he's fast, so like that's the thing that he seems to crank out a lot of inventory. Yeah. And his commission list gets kind of driven through pretty quickly.
Okay. No, I didn't know he was fast. I haven't heard anything about his speed and how he works, so interesting. So Rich says, I almost got my first Grommet piece from a collector who made a piece available at OAX. Why are you keeping secrets? What piece was it, Rich? But it was sold before I could email them. I figured Ruben got to it first. Just tell me what piece it was. Tell us all what piece it was. I'm curious. I mean, what title was it? Like, I don't know.
This all sounds like I have a girlfriend in Canada. Exactly. Wow, who's this girlfriend in Canada that you have?
That's so funny. Published pieces are the house, which appreciates. Yeah, unpublished are the cars, which depreciate. That's a good way to put it. I like that, Dan. Very nice.
Yeah.
Right, Eric was a standard page from SGM, but still DAVKD won it and was going to go to 3K. DAVKD, the Campbell guy or Wildstorm guy, was wearing the Gen 13. Okay.
So apparently a big J. Scott Campbell collector. I'm translating, the English subtitles for our English-speaking audience.
Yes, sorry, and thank you. I just wanted to say thanks. Sorry, Matt, because I'm like 5 minutes behind on the comments. Yes, thank you. I remember now. That was an awesome piece, the X-Men piece. Yeah, that he did for the show. Yeah, thank you. Aranga, sorry, sold that piece. He debuted last week on your show. Oh yes, I know that he sold that the next day on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Sorry, go ahead, man.
just trying to figure out what was intended by
Okay.
that post. And I'm guessing that the translation is that it was a J. Scott Campbell collector that was picking up the piece that he was talking about.
Okay. Man, for a drunk guy, you're posting a lot of messages all of a sudden now, Tommy. Bob Layton, Simone, I probably spent 3 hours talking and making deals in the smoking area. You stinky smokers. That's good. Wherever you can make deals, you make deals. Actually, I showed you, but Jeff was on screen. So that is why you remember it that way. Okay, you remember. Okay, obviously this was 4 minutes ago. What's he referring to?
Yeah, he's saying that it wasn't Jeff that showed you the Mannix book. It was
right.
and Art that showed it. But Jeff was on screen when he showed it, and so that's how you're missing.
That's so funny. Thank you. It is true the way your brain works, right? Thanks, Mike. It's exactly. Yeah. Thank you. Exactly. Yeah. Thanks, Mike. I apologize for my bad memory, but it is the way the brain works is crazy. Yeah. Oh, Dan, Zoe
Lackey, yeah.
What's like? Yeah, Lackey. So an Italian woman?
Yes. So
Okay,
she's lives in Italy. I did a couple of exhibitions with her when I was the director of La Luz de Jesus. I had her in the Coaster Show. I think every year that I've done the Coaster Show, and we're still yet to do the 10th show. It's been almost 11 years. We skipped a year because of stuff.
Okay.
But her stuff is incredible, and she has a lot of rabid collectors of her small, affordable pieces. But there was inventory that was left, and her specialty was Asian-centric stuff for a long time. She had a series of more Gothic pieces, and I picked up a sort of like Japanese vampire type of piece from her in one of the shows. And after she started doing the comic covers, the variant covers, and I think really doing the ratio variant covers, that all her inventory went. But yeah, she's really known for having a great ability for capturing the female form, which you might call sexy drawings,
Right.
and but very rich detail. Like, she's an incredible illustrator. There's also another artist who anybody who's in publishing, I want to hip you to this artist. Her work is exceptionally inexpensive for what it is, and it's Alessia Ianetti, who is also friends with Zoe, is also an Italian illustrator. Really top-notch stuff. Definitely in that James Jean school of just like fabulous soft fantasy work. And she's been trying to break into doing some American comic work too. And I think whoever scoops her up is going to be selling a lot of comics.
Cool. Very nice. Thank you, Rich. Yeah, the Jericho, that's the one that Michael Lovitz had. But it was not me who bought it. I found the price for me. It's funny because I had a conversation with a friend of mine just yesterday. He was asking me if I had bought that one, and I was telling him that for me, for a very sort of like down at the bottom of the sort of ladder of important new Teen Titan members, the price to me is too much. He was arguing that for a who's who type pinup, whatever, that price these days is pretty much, that's fair. It's a personal thing for me. I don't care enough. So about,
I mean, if it's going to be who's who art, maybe you want the Dave Stevens Dolphin, like.
Yeah. No, I'll take the Grummett Teen Titans. It's just, it depends how much the price. It still has to be, to what I feel is worthwhile, obviously.
So Grummett did the Jericho. It wasn't Perez.
No, it was because it was from 1990. So it was right. It was when Grummett was already on the title, having followed Perez.
Gotcha. In the Baxter, yeah.
So that's it. Perez, when they did the Baxter thing in '84. Stuck around for that first storyline, 5 issues.
Yeah.
Immediately left,
and then Romeo Tangal came on.
Right. Yeah. Well, no, he was just inking.
Didn't he take over penciling too?
No, it was Eduardo Barreto, and then it was Garcia Lopez.
Right.
Yeah, and some other guys. But then George came back like 45 issues later for issue 50, and he stuck around for 7 issues or something. and then Grummet took over when he left for the second time, you know?
Yeah.
So, there you go. So, oh, look at that. Hold on. You're in your room now, Mr. Drunkard. Time for you to pass out, man. So I wanted to
I
put this.
picture him like typing in the elevator.
Yeah, yeah.
And keep missing his floor and has to like kind of keep like
going up and
oh,
down.
I gotta write it again. Oh, but I gotta type this. That would be me. So I'm
Yeah,
maybe I'm
yeah.
just projecting.
So Rick says that Mannix has stated that the concept takes up most of his time thinking about it. Well, that makes kind of sense. It's like pencilers in general. Most of the time that it takes to pencil a page, it's the thinking stages, thinking how you're going to lay it out.
Does interesting stuff. Like he really does. I gotta say, like even in those 5x7 kind of drawings, where like he did a Wolverine commission, you don't see Wolverine's face, like you just see him like standing in water or something with like the claw hanging, so you know that it's Wolverine, but it's like a really interesting conceptual piece.
Right.
So I think that's what you want from Mannix. Isn't necessarily that you're looking for hyper detail, but that you're looking for something that is ubiquitously what it is.
Ubiquitously. Yeah, absolutely. So I was going to ask you what you thought of the price. I'm not familiar with that market. Like I said, Rich, it's just a personal thing. For me, I thought, wow, like, oh, okay. Actually, you know what? I'm sorry. Okay. Sorry. I have to clarify something here, everyone. And for you, Rich, especially. Not that I think about it, I don't even know what the price was. So now that I don't know, you can feel free to tell me what it was. The reason I thought it was too much, even though I didn't know the price, is because I know that last year, Michael had sold the Who's Who pinup for Red Star, the Russian guy, who I don't even consider a Teen Titan, whatever, even though he helped them on a few missions, whatever. He sold that one for $500. And I would have, I'd take it just because it's a Grummet Teen Titans related thing. But I was blown away that it would be $500. For me, that was a ton. I put Jericho, a step above Red Star. So I assumed it would be over 500. Oh my Lord. What?
1,300. So 1.3 times the price, not just more.
Oh. But here's the thing. It just goes to show how personal it is. Because here I am thinking, man, even at 500, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
And at 1,300, it's sold.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, like that's wild, man. Again, I can't tell you, Rich. I can't tell you if it's worth it or not. I know it's not worth it to me. That's all I can tell you. Like I said, I wouldn't pay 500 for it, thinking it might have been 500. That's all I'm telling you. I'm not disparaging.
And then there's in the context of what's stuff going for at the time. What else can you buy with that money? So like when I see someone spent $5,000 for a Mannix piece, I'm thinking I can pick up an Arthur Adams variant cover secondhand for that price within that range for sure.
Right.
Like that you can pick up some amazing published covers in that realm. Certainly not, some of the biggest names, but a lot of people whose work is still underrated. You could pick up 2 Salvador Larroca amazing covers, like with multiple characters on it for that price.
Right. Yeah. I mean, again, it's all relative, right? It's all relative, and it all depends. What are your interests?
Yeah.
That's it. Like if when you're not interested in something, and somebody says, "Oh my God, but look how cheap it is." But if you really don't care for it, like sometimes, like okay, let somebody else get a deal then. Whatever. I just don't, that kind of thing. So that's the thing.
Here's context. So $6,000 would be like a Nissan Xterra 2014 4-wheel drive automatic. So like when it's like I could have an off-road vehicle that will last me the next 4 years with minor upkeep, or I could have this piece. But I think a lot of us, when we spend for a certain amount of money up, that we do so because we think we're going to hang on to it for a long time. And sometimes circumstances change for sure. Any emergency can happen, or you just fall out of love with the piece. That can just happen sometimes.
Yeah.
And so you want to make sure, I think all of us do, we want to think it's a long-term investment. So we want to think that it's going to accumulate value, if not for investment purposes, for trading purposes, that we
Right.
can at least get something of similar value down the line. And I think with an unestablished career, it's risky.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Although I can say, yeah, I can say that in the past I've played you know what, I'm going to buy these because even though like I'm interested in the art and the artists, they're not like the best examples of the artists for me, the ones that I would be keepers on.
Right.
But I'll buy them anyways because down the road maybe I'll use it for trade bait, whatever.
Sure.
But honestly, then there's the thing where it's like you try it, nobody bites, and then you're holding all this inventory that you only bought for trading. And then you're like, ugh, now I gotta sell it all, put it all back out into the market again just to get my money back, right? And that's happened to me, you know. It's like,
or
yeah,
play the patience game, because on a
yeah,
timeline long enough it becomes valuable. But
sure,
that's an interesting thing. So like I have a Chris Wildgoose Batgirl page on the wall right here that you can't see, that's in front of me. And I had really not a lot of knowledge about his run on Batgirl. But when I saw that piece, I'm like, this is a perfect Batgirl page. This may never accumulate value,
right,
but I love it more than pieces that have cost me quite literally 20 times more than that piece cost me. And when I looked at it and I saw the price that was attached to it, I think that was something I bought from Comic Art Live. The convention's not the weekly show. And I was just like, this has got such graceful movement on it. And as somebody who's always thinking like, will I ever publish? You know, like as
yeah,
someone who knows so many artists and I've written a ton of stuff, and that, you know, do I ever want to dip my toe in the comic book, you know, market as it becomes less and less relevant with every
yeah,
passing day and less
yeah,
lucrative and all the challenges? Like I have this kind of Rolodex in my head of like, who would be an amazing illustrator for the idea that I have of the different things that I want to do. And so I frequently buy pieces because I want to see how they deal with different types of layouts. Some people I only want their panel pages from because I really respect their storytelling ability. Some people it's going to be all about the splash pages, or about, you know,
yeah,
2/3 splash page with insets because it's an interesting layout. And I
right,
think that over time we all become that. Like we all start with like, I want this one iconic image, and then it's like, oh, but now I need that great panel page, or now I need a great double page splash, or oh, I don't have you
yeah,
know, any horizontal art, or I don't have, you know, any oversized art. Now I want Silver Age. Now I want
yeah,
this. So like as we expand our identification of things that we like, we start to take on the influence of fellow collectors. We watch a show like yours. We watch a show like Bill's Comic Art Live, and we see these pieces that we never thought about. And I
yeah.
have totally, I'm as guilty as the squirrel, you know, thing as anybody else, where I bought pages and they show up at my door and I'm like, why the hell did I buy this?
Why
You
did
know,
I
like
buy this?
I got caught up in the moment, you know.
Yeah,
But then, you know, I think that we all have, none of us are islands in our taste. Like we all know somebody that could go to. Like I've got pieces that, even if I never recover what I paid, I know that if I give them to someone who I know is going to love it, it's going to be worth 5 times to them what I paid for it.
yeah, yeah.
That there's that kind of ability. And is there any other type of art where you can do that? Because art is so subjective. You know,
Exactly.
like
Yeah,
you can't buy people paintings for Christmas. They'll hate you
yeah.
for it.
Right.
If you buy somebody a painting that they don't want to hang in their wall, you
Oh
haven't done
no,
them a favor. You've done them
no.
one of the worst disservices ever.
Yeah, yeah,
But
for
in
sure.
comic art, it's all like it's a piece of this bigger pie, and it all makes sense in some way.
Yeah, especially Squirrel Girl art apparently,
I
which
guess.
which is
Marvel
very
superheroes, yep.
very tempting to Rick. And I just want to say, I bought Grummett art when he wasn't the hottest artist. I was buying Grummett art. Yeah, that's true, but he's still not the hottest. He's not
Right.
even. He's not even remotely close to a hot artist.
But he's
Uh,
picking up steam. Like I've seen his prices are really, like you mentioned, that $1,300 kind
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah,
oddball thing. But when I see his stuff and I kind of take a look, and I sometimes I'm surprised because that era is kind of the era that I dipped out, and I certainly
right,
was reading a lot of superhero comics at that point.
right.
But seeing it, I'm like, oh, this is comparable to the, you know, the Kubert brothers, or, other things at Marvel at the
Right.
time, and it's of that same ability. I feel especially strongly about the guy that was doing the Legion covers
Oh, Steve
forever.
Lytle.
Not him. No, the guy after for the Legion 89, 90, 91.
Barry Kitson?
Yes. Like,
Oh.
I look at his work now and I'm like, how come this stuff isn't a fortune? Like,
Mm-hmm.
the amount of work that's in it, he's got a very Kevin Maguire type line where he can just kind of nail it with simplicity, but you still know exactly what you're looking at. But Legion has always been one of those, except for that era of, the Great Darkness saga, that Legion stuff has just been confusing for people to dip
Yeah.
into without
Yeah.
becoming like full on in the Legion.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's a lot
Absolutely.
of DC art's a great investment.
Yeah. It's perennially undervalued, I think, compared to Marvel for sure,
Mhm.
because interestingly enough, just this past week with the big Heritage auction,
Mhm.
there was I didn't watch it, I didn't follow it, and then my friend told me about this Superman page. He's like, did you see the Superman double? Was it a splash or a double splash? I think it's a splash. Anyways, it's one of these classic Superman carrying Lois Lane,
Mhm.
and flying up in the air with her, and I love that kind of stuff. And early 80s, I think 81 or 82, whatever. So already over 40 years old. I can't believe I said that. And yeah, it was like 3,600. And I was like, man, if you had that splash by
Spider-Man and
either,
Mary Jane.
no. I'm going to give you a better apples to apples comparison.
Mhm.
Superman and Lois still carrying and flying through the air, a large image, but from the anywhere in the a lot of these guys in the comics, they refer to it as the triangle era, because the Superman titles they would have, because they were one title, there were 4 titles, one that would come out every week, and they would
The
continue
post-burn
in
era, yeah,
the post-burn era,
yeah.
right? And so they would put the number in a triangle so you
Sure.
know that this is the next one, in continuity. And if you get like a Dan Jurgens or Tom Grummett, any of the artists who were working, right? If it was from that era, pretty much, you're looking at closer to like $6,000, $7,000. But because that was kind of like the first ever popular, when Superman was being read a lot by a lot of people.
Leading up to the death of Superman storyline and then the fallout of that. And yeah, and Jurgens
Right.
is funny, right? Because I mean, Jurgens isn't Byrne, and yet
No.
those pages are inordinately expensive because it just clicked. It's the right thing at the right time. But he's also there's a couple of Argentinian artists named Pullen Marianella, and they're most famous for working in Barbie iconography, and they make these different saints out of Barbie. And it's caused certain controversies, but they actually got a piece into the Pope's personal art collection because, as you may know, Pope Francis is Argentinian, was actually the Monsignor of their church, the church they grew up going to. So they knew him and gifted him one of these custom Barbies. I've got a couple of their pieces. I showed their work. They ended up doing an amazing show with a gallerist in New York who's kind of known for breaking people into the next big realm. And it was all built around the Dan Jurgens Superman art, but they turned Superman into Jesus. But
Wow.
that gives Jurgens that same riz that like all the artists that were ripped off by Roy Lichtenstein got from being the object of affection for pop artists. And so there's kind of a modern context of like now when artists of the current era reference comic books, they reference a really specific era, and it doesn't work with super detailed pencilers. Like it doesn't work for Jim Lee. It doesn't
Right.
work for Todd McFarlane. That's too much exactly what it is. There's
Right.
something, and this is going to sound pejorative, but it's not. There's enough of a sort of generic quality to Jurgens that it is amenable to almost any purpose. And yet his layout work is stellar. He's still a great penciler, but there's something post-Byrne about it. And even post-Ordway.
I love Ordway, by the way. Just want to put it out there. But yeah, look, like I was saying, that's my whole just point is just to say to your point about how DC art is so cheap or whatever. Yeah, just just let's within DC itself, right? Just from if you buy Superman from this era versus from that era, it's a lot cheaper, even though it's older. Think about it, right? It was about a decade older, 12 to 12, let's say 12 to 14 years from the era that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know, or whatever, 10 to 14, something like that. Right. And it was again 3,600. I was like, wow, it's beautiful for 3,600 bucks. Again, Dan Jurgens, Grummett, or Geis, whoever was working in the 92 to 94 era. If it's from one of those issues, for sure, $6,000, you know, it's wild, right?
Look at the circulation on those. Like that's also the hot circulation probably since 1938.
Right.
You know, that Superman comics had gone through. So there's I think that plays a bigger part into the value of comic art than we really think about. And so like again, like when I would see, you know, the Cooper Brothers stuff getting up to $20,000, I'd be kind of scratched. I'm like, I don't really remember anybody loving that the way they loved Portasio, Jim Lee, you know, that stuff. But that does kind of represent the final huge circulation numbers on X-Men. And I mean, their layout's incredible. I have to say that both Adam and Andy had incredible layout skills. They made iconic cover after iconic cover. But so it shouldn't surprise me to see that they get the numbers they get on the artwork. And then again, it is X-Men, which is, you know, not subject to the rules of other comic book.
No. Yeah, of course. That's a category unto itself, so to speak. You know. Hey, Knights, what's up, bro? No, I didn't go. I wasn't there. Did you? And look, Ian's back.
Ruben had to run security on the houses of all the Canadian collectors that were in Florida that weekend to make sure that their personal collections are safe because they can only bring one binder with them.
You got it. Matt knows. Yeah. No, but like you know, you make the comparison that I made, right? Different era in DC compared to another era, just let's say a decade apart, and you can find such bargains that way. But then again, DC art, what you thought I was going to use as the example, which is when you start to compare it to Spider-Man or whatever, from let's say even the same exact time period, same year,
zero,
you know?
Zero's the difference.
It's incredible, right? It's like so, but that's the thing. It's like just people. I guess it's always been so much stronger of a Marvel hobby than DC, and you know, no matter how high and how strong the prices have gotten over the decades in this hobby, sure, it all goes up, right? The rising tide lifts all the boats, but it still tends to stay like when you're like, if you were only focused on DC, for example, then you might be like thinking, oh man, the art, boy, you would still be saying the art's getting expensive. My gosh, look how much it's gone up, right? But if you then pay attention to, well, look what's going on with Marvel, you'd be blown away because it completely shatters whatever you think about DC, you know? It's just so.
I mean, the fact that you can still get published comic book art like pages of any era for less than $200.
Yes.
So frequently, so commonly is to me crazy because everything is going in a digital direction. Every artist who is great with a pen and pencil is almost foolish not to adopt digital to make their art faster, easier to produce, except that they know the resale value on physical art is so much higher than on a one-of-one edition. And so to the point that I think a lot of people that don't normally that work digitally, that don't normally do traditional inking, will do a blue line printout of that digital page, removing the ink layer and do an actual physical ink of it to be able to sell something that can generate them a consistent and high amount of money.
Right.
Tim's sales prices have been going absolutely, you know, to the moon, and deservedly so. And the work just got better and better and better.
Absolutely. Love Tim's sale. Yeah, great stuff. Wanted to mention, okay, yeah, so Knights is saying, I felt like unless I had 50K to blow, it just wouldn't be worth going. I think what you're trying to say is you didn't want to go because you figured it would be too overwhelming. There would be too much stuff for you to buy, and you don't have enough money to buy it all, which would be frustrating,
I
right?
understand that.
Or you'd blow whatever you had, like silly, and yeah. I get it for sure, absolutely.
But you could also go with a blank notebook and go table to table and buy drawing commissions and have a full
But
book
if
of artwork for
but
a
if you
couple
yes,
$1,000.
true. But you still have to be into that already.
Yeah.
And if you're not, that's not,
Yeah.
that's a pointless sort of suggestion to those people, right? So
Yeah.
you like what you like, and that's how it is. But yeah, I mean, it's a good point. If you're into that, of course, it's good for that. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, if you do have, champagne taste and champagne budget, yeah, then
well, you look,
you're in
Marcus.
trouble.
Like exactly, Marcus figures like I'm not going to do that. That's why he didn't go, because he figures I can buy 50K worth of Coke. That's a lot of Coke it buys, So he could stay sniffing at home, and that's it, right? Like keep posting comments online, so that's better for him.
And then he can bring back the empty cans, because that's what I think he's talking about.
Of course he is. He's not a sniffer. Come on. I did want to say earlier, I didn't click on the comment. But number one Marvel fan, who I don't know, looks like he might have passed out by now. He mentioned that, oh, there he is. Speak of the devil. Look at that. No. Was so much to buy in the lobby and table areas. Everyone had folios and with a lot of great deals to be had. You just had to be there with a lot of art. Okay. Tommy mentioned that he got a whole bunch of people ended up signing a card for Kavi, which is really, really nice. A get well soon card type thing, whatever, because Kavi's was supposed to be there and then had the bad accident, broke his leg badly. So that's really cool of you all to do that. So that's very cool. I'm sure he's going to love
my wrist.
To receive that. My wrist? What?
Caddyshack. Oh, my wrist.
Oh, I don't remember. I saw that when it came out, and I don't remember a thing from it. So
no, the implication being like, give me a card with everybody's, drawings and signatures on it. Happily.
Oh no, I believe Tommy was referring to just a bunch of collectors signed the card.
Oh, okay.
I'm assuming. Yeah, I'm assuming. He'll tell us, I guess. Not a fan of Black Friday style first come first serve commission lines. See, that was to your comment, I guess.
Yeah.
No, that's it. See, that's what I'm saying. Everybody's got a different sort of, what they're willing to put up with, what they're not. Yeah.
It also seemed like it would be a fun show for collectors with kids. That it's kind of it's a great one-shot blast. Like if the kid's into art and it seems like it's something you're going to pass down to the next generation, then what better way than to have like a room full of people? Artists love doing stuff for kids. I mean, they just do. So it's a different experience.
I get your thinking, but my sort of answer to that, though, is just from my own experience, is that all the guys I know in the hobby who do have younger kids, man, when we talk about the kids, it's like pretty much almost a clean sweep for none of them are interested in the artwork or the comics. So
you're saying I was wise to not have children, is what you're saying?
I guess.
For a very good reason than some of the reasons you could say.
Right.
Yes.
That's it, But Ian has it. That's if I was going to go, that's why I would go. So that's a good thing. I'm glad you enjoyed that aspect, the socializing aspect of it all, right? So that's a good reason. So that's cool. And that way you enjoy it whether you spent money or not. On artwork, I mean, every artist had a pre-convention commission list. Oh, really? Well, yeah. Okay. Yes, Josh was going around all weekend making balloon animals for kids. Really?
That's great.
But like, Tommy, how many kids did you actually see there?
Good question.
I can't imagine there'd be too many kids there. But okay, and that's the other thing is. If you brought your kid, did you have to pay $150 for the ticket for the kid?
No, kids. He was very upfront about the kids got in for free. Like kids under a certain age got in for free, and there was like cheaper tickets for spouses because they knew that Bill knows that sometimes it's like you have to bring them to Florida, of course, but they want to be there for the whole show, but they still want to poke in, and get a taste of it, I guess. Make sure you're not spending too much money.
Yeah, for sure. guys, I'm sorry, but this is the second time somebody's mentioned Josh Flanders. Can somebody
I don't
just
know
tell
who
me
that
who
is
that
either.
is?
He's
Because I don't know
apparently
who
the
you're.
balloon animal man, but
Okay, I don't know. Some collector, I guess. Hey, Chuck Arnold's here. It was an amazing
hey, Chuck.
experience. Nice hanging out with artists and collectors. Not a lot of negativity. That's cool. That's always nice. And your kid was there today. Oh, cool. That's nice.
I guess Josh Flanders is a producer of Imminent Nation.
Okay. Oh,
Cou-
okay. And
Couple
he was
months older than me. Grew up in Chicago.
so he was apparently the guy doing balloons, making balloons for the kids. Under 16 was the free for kids. And Tommy says he saw probably about 20 kids. Wow, that's kind of surprising. Then again, though, if it was over 450 attendees, suddenly that's not that much. 20 out of 450, that's about 5% of the people, Interesting. But yeah, it's cool at least to see some kids because you never really see that. My kids went on the Guardians of the Galaxy ride, of course. What else? What other ride would you put them on, Ian?
So Michael Rooker was here in town this week. He was at actually SHOT Show because he owns a shooting range, and so like in order to get into that show, you have to be either like military, law enforcement, or part of the munitions industry. So he was actually in town this week.
Wow, that's cool. I love Michael Rooker.
Oh, Rooker's great. Rooker's the best.
Yeah, I loved him since he did. I guess it must have been around 1990-ish, 91.
Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. Yeah. I used to be for several years very much into reading books about serial killers and stuff like that.
I have the Joe Coleman poster of that signed by Joe, and he also drew me onto the poster.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Pretty neat. Yeah. So you put her on the ride and said it was the best ever. It gave her just a bit of more respect for my crazy comic collection. Nice.
It's basically Tower of Terror reskinned as Guardians of the Galaxy, which in Tower of Terror was always like a super fun ride.
Oh, wow. Okay. Seen you around, but you were always talking to someone. Didn't want to bother. Nice. I kept asking, where's #1 Marvel fan? Ian put them on the Wild Raccoon ride too. What? I have no idea what you're talking about. Always bother. I talk a lot. Yeah, you see, you gotta. If you don't go up to people, some people won't go up to you either, right? That's the thing. If there's somebody you want to meet as a collector, and it's them, you might as well go up to them, and introduce yourself. I could see going if at Disney as well. Yeah, but Knights, what you said earlier, I mean, I agree too. That's kind of like a no-brainer. Like, oh, if I was local, I'd go. Well, yeah, no shit, right? Like, I keep saying the reason I don't really go to cons anymore is because I just hate flying. I hate the whole airport experience, the traveling experience. That's the main reason. I can't get myself to go to an airport, get on a plane, blah, 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 But yeah, if I had that kind of stuff local, of course I'd go,
Bam.
It's easy to say if you're really local. Yeah, for sure, I'd even drive. I keep saying I'd even drive 5 to 7 hours. I can do that. To me, that's like still fine local enough. I do that, which I do
you could
for like
almost do a show in Philly.
Hang out almost. So what else you got here? You can't get a girl to dance if you don't ask. Exactly. There you go. Damn, Chuck. Sorry we missed each other.
Clearly, he doesn't frequent the same types of establishments I do. No, I don't. But I get it. The fortune favors the bold, right? And
sure.
This is not really a hobby with a lot of super shy people in it, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of big personalities in collecting, and even people who aren't necessarily as verbose as say I or Chuck are still not necessarily shy about walking up and asking questions. And I think that's baked into the cake for a show like OAX, that you have to get out and talk. I mean, I would love to see, just a room full of art collectors where even if 5% of them are children, 10% women,
right.
And to have those discussions about why they collect what they collect and what stuff they're continuing to do. And a lot of the women in our hobby are dealers, there's a handful that are just independent collectors, but a lot are dealers. And that's a whole different mentality too.
Right. Right, for sure. Knights, I just wanted to say, I totally get that comment. The reason being that
Sure.
I have a lot of friends who told me the same exact thing, that they were like, "Oh God, I don't even go to the channel anymore because it's just like it's incessantly all day, every show, every week, every week for the last several months, and OAX, and the same blah blah blah." So I totally get that. I can see how you could, it's like, okay, enough already, but the guy running that channel is the guy putting on the con, so you also understand why it's happening, right?
You
So
got to use your avenues for promotion. I mean, like,
yeah.
but then it sort of shows you too. It's like, well, it's still not sold out. Like they have a number, they haven't hit their number, because if they did, they'd stop selling it. Like, and you understand why things keep getting promoted. And it's like, well, a lot of people say they're going to go and then they don't go, and so he's anticipating, well, maybe they need to be reminded. So there's a lot of that. I'm assuming that it'll probably be at the same hotel next year in the same room, so it will be the same size.
See, let me pick your brain a little bit, Matt, about that, right?
Sure.
Because I've been kind of curious since it was first announced.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about next year, and I'm sure it'll happen again. But I'm really curious as to, and again, I don't know any of the inside behind the scenes details, but when I think about how many artists, from what I heard, it was well over 60 artists, right? How is it possible to be able to run a con like that and be in the black when you've got, okay, maybe, I don't know, out of the 60 some odd artists, I'm sure, I don't know, 5 to 10 of them must be local Florida guys who can drive themselves there, whatever. Okay. But you still got to have somewhere between 40 to 50 guys who had to be flown in and put up in hotels. How do you pay for all that? Pay for the venue on, let's say you sold out at 500 tickets at $150 per. It's like, I don't know, 75 grand or what. Like, how do you pay for all it? To me, it just seems like I don't see how it could be financially feasible to keep doing this show. Like, I don't see how this show could not be in the red deeply.
Right.
And right. So I'm trying to figure out, like, how's it going to keep going? And if they are in the red, you hope that it grows and grows till it gets into the black eventually, right? But our hobby is so small and it's so limited to how large it can grow. I just don't see how it's possible. So I don't know.
I mean, a lot of first years and second year shows lose money, and the idea is to build up the brand and build up awareness. In the case of this show, and by the virtue that it's Bill Cox's show, advertisement is free. That he gets to advertise it multiple times a week,
right,
on the channel, and through the email every single day. So that aspect is an expense that most other people have to spend to get. So that is a huge piece of bonus. I guess you might call it like above line cost that you no longer have to pay. So in flying people in or getting, a group of rooms, when you do a show like that, you're getting a bunch of free rooms from the convention. You're getting on top of the function room, you're getting other kind of rooms that aren't necessarily function rooms, that are meetup rooms that they'll give you for that type of thing. You're also, as a local, he's probably getting a massive decreased rate. And by having it be at the end of January, where it's kind of off season, it's the lowest rates possible. I mean, you can look and get rooms super cheap, which is why there are places like Priceline that offer you cheap hotels. They buy those types of entire blocks of rooms to be able to get those rates. But it's not
hey Karen,
free.
what's up?
Hey, Karen. It's not free, as you say, and certainly they've got no control over international flights. And even if you use one airline, which would seem to be impossible if you're working with artists from out of the country, and why I think they decided to not pursue a lot of European artists, because of the cost of flying from Europe, to
Right.
Florida.
Right, but that's neither here nor there, because most of the artists are still from the United States, right? And you still got to fly in at least 50 of these guys. yeah.
I mean, maybe Khosrow's got 2 million air miles from American Airlines, and
No,
then can
but
get like a block of tickets, or can negotiate a block of tickets for a single airline so that you can fly people, and that keeps the prices pretty low. But again, it isn't free. But look at the price of things. There were 3 different tiers of ticketing. You could buy the whole weekend and not buy the VIP party. And the VIP party,
yeah,
if you looked at it, was expensive. Like, to me, I don't really care about mingling with the artist as a special thing. Like, if it
right,
happens organically, I'm happy to do it.
right.
Would I pay an extra $250 for that privilege? I absolutely would not.
Oh,
Don't
yeah.
quote me on 250. I'm not sure that that's the
Yeah,
price.
yeah, whatever. But I get
I
your
was,
point. That's all that
yeah.
matters. I get the point. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I was part of some of those meetings that we had via Zoom when they were starting to set it up and kind of, get into a position of what should be offered. And I made the suggestion that if you brought in a lot of artists and you had, an hour or two on Saturday where they were all willing to do free, quick sketches or quick remarks, that would be worthwhile, because a kid with a Moleskine book could walk around to every table and get a sketch in that book and fill that book just with the artist in that room. That's worth $500, as an admission to a convention.
But you're really focused on kids, a segment of the population who don't really show up to these things. And
But aren't we all a little bit living in Arrested Development, and the fact that we are connected to something which is comic books, which
yeah,
we should have gotten past developmentally, decades ago and haven't.
yeah,
So I, as a big kid, would love that thing. I'm sure that while remarks aren't necessarily your thing, if that was baked in the cake of a $500 or $450 ticket where you would be able to go around the room and get these remarks, and they were doing them quick, but not terribly, that's value. Like, wow, this is actually a pretty valuable thing. Like, if you figure that, those, you could pull a page and sell each page for, say, even $20, that you've just paid for your ticket to that convention. And
yeah.
so, like, it has a certain value in branding that eventually people that are in Europe are going to realize, hey, I've got a lot of unsold pages. I have a rep that does a really good job, but no rep can sell my work like I can. I'll be at that rep's table. Maybe the rep will fly me in to have me there, as they do for San Diego sometimes, and just sell through tons of volume. And then there's the bump into factor that artists and writers want to meet each other. Like, how many
But
writers were at this show?
yeah, but none of that helps the show promoter. That doesn't financially.
It does allow you to charge more for the ticket, and it allows.
Yeah, but
And then you get more people, you sell more tickets.
I don't know. Okay. Let me just ask you this out of curiosity.
Sure.
Okay. Do you then believe that putting on this show is immediately profitable?
I don't think that the show made any money. I'm guessing.
Would you assume it lost money?
I would assume it lost money.
Right. Okay. That's all. That's what I'm saying. It's just, yeah.
It might have broken even. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I do think that what it generated in value to the brand of Comic Art Live, and therefore Comic Art fans, and itself.
Oh no, sure, of course, yeah.
It's hard to monetize. Like, for Bill, is it worth it? It's absolutely going to be worth it.
Yeah, the stuff that you can't quantify. Yeah, you can't quantify it, but of course, in different ways. That way, of course, there's some benefits, right? Of course.
But does that benefit Khosrow? Does that benefit any of the people that came in as CEOs or CFOs of it?
I don't even know what their involvement truly is. I'm assuming it's non-paid positions and some kind of because it just doesn't make. There's no money to
some kind of back end compensation. There would have to be. Although honestly, maybe not. Like, Khosrow was publishing Tome, and I'm sure Tome paid for itself. But that he left at the end of the day, he got no money for it. Like, he did not get paid. He has an amazing object that he's produced twice that allows access to his heroes and gives context to people that are lesser known to people that are very well known. And there's a value to that as personal currency, as things you want to do. You can call it an ego enterprise, but I think that there is value to ego enterprise.
Yeah. No, I get that for sure. And Knights, that's very kind of you. I appreciate that. So I always thought, because of the fact that our hobby is relatively tiny, not only is it a tiny hobby, but then those of us in the hobby, in the tiny hobby, who are actually interested and willing to be sociable online,
Right.
right? It's even a tiny, tiny percentage of the tiny hobby,
Yeah.
right? And literally, it's in the hundreds, right? Think about it. The convention, you're hoping to sell out of a few hundred tickets, not thousands, right?
Yeah.
Hundreds. Any of these shows, the number, look, the Come Work Out Live channel, which is the biggest one in this hobby, only has 55 or something hundred subscribers,
Right.
and maybe on any random given night, the live viewers are still only, I don't know, anywhere from 40 to 80 or something like that on whatever show, except for the dueling dealer still gets, let's say,
Well, yeah.
250.
So the dueling dealer show, which of course generates income,
Right,
and you've got the same two guys every week.
right.
What does that tell you? That shows that there's room for more of that. Obviously, Nick sells his stuff, and it's always only his stuff on Fridays. You've
Yeah,
got dueling dealers on Wednesdays. That gives you every other day of the week to have something like that,
yeah.
And I still watch dueling dealers quite a bit, see if there's anything interesting that pops up. I buy less. I keep saying I keep buying less. I am so full of it, dude. Like I still spend way too much money on stuff, but I think that there's an appetite out there for more, because as great as the collections are of Berkey and Anthony, that Berkey's pretty rigid on his pricing, and you do bump into having the same types of things again and again and again, and that for other collectors that are looking for something that has been off market for a really long time, that's been sitting in a collection, the amateur dueling dealer shows get way bigger numbers, because collectors
Okay.
like
Yeah,
us are like, oh,
yeah,
what
yeah.
do they have? What are they going to get rid of? Because they're
Right.
not professional dealers selling the best stuff all the time.
Yeah. Early on, that's why early on when it first started, I mean, just the dealers,
Yeah.
I had suggested, hey, you should just maybe think about doing it with collectors.
Yeah.
Do it with collectors because, yeah, the dealers are fine because they have a big enough inventory. However, you kind of, if you've been to their websites, you kind of know what they generally have, right? But where you might have more interesting stuff is collectors who don't typically sell regularly.
Right.
But if they want to do it, I'm going to do this one show. Well, those two collectors will probably try to bring out stuff they may not have shown before, or not always. Sometimes it's not great stuff either. They're not all great.
Or
But I know
give
what you mean.
great deals. And so for the drama of watching a show, like the actual entertainment aspect, why is there YouTube? To entertain us. Are we not
Yeah,
entertained? So like the drama is watching somebody part with a piece that they love.
yeah.
Mike and Anthony don't love anything they have.
No, I. Yeah,
It's a commodity. It's coffee. It's biscuits. It's bleach. But
yeah,
like, if I'm on and I'm selling stuff, I'm thinking really hard about like I want to raise money for something, so I'm going on the show to sell a piece to raise money, or I'm like I've had an epiphany that may last that show and a week longer, and then I'm gonna pull off everything that I offered for sale because I'm like, what the hell am I thinking? I don't want to sell that piece. I'm so glad it didn't sell. So like that whole dynamic of collectors selling to other collectors is very special and is not being exploited enough. You could totally do this. You could be the guy that does this and brings in collectors and collectors selling their wares in a very similar format, that where it's different people all the time and you get completely different types of people. Maybe there's a collector that only collects Shade the Changing Man, and has managed to gobble up like every awesome Shade piece, and
yeah,
so none of us can get in and get a Bocello piece because this guy's got everything. Well, now they've got 75 issues worth of 22 pages a piece, and they're going to be willing to get rid of stuff. We talked about DC art not being that valuable, except of course Vertigo art, which is worth exponentially got more valuable than any other comic art that's out there. It's worth more. It's more high demand. More people collect it that don't collect anything else.
right.
So it's kind of a special thing. I mean, you've got a lot of people that we know that are Captain American collectors. You got people that are Wolverine collectors. You got people that are Punisher collectors. There are pieces they want in other collectors' collections that
Yeah,
they would happily purchase if it was available, that maybe they don't want to put out there because they don't want to put a price on it and then have it not sell. and then get inundated with offers that are half or less of what they have it marked, and it's considered poisoned, if it's been out there for a certain time and it hasn't sold.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us who offer stuff for sale are really just like, I have it at this number, and sooner or later it's going to sell at that number.
Hmm.
Like, I
Yeah.
don't need to sell it next week. I don't need to sell it tomorrow. But if someone gives me that amount, I will take it. So
Sure.
it's such a privilege to have a peek inside, a collector's collection of stuff and have that be open and available for sale.
Absolutely, for sure. Absolutely. Nice. Yeah. So again, once again, I just wanted to thank you because it's a nice compliment. I appreciate it. And I agree, not to be patting myself on the back, but I've been saying for a long time, since when CAL first opened, I was like, okay, this is fun, whatever. I supported all the shows every week. But eventually it got tiring to have to be there 3 hours a day, 4 times, 5 times a week sometimes. And the content was the same. And so I thought, okay, just for fun, let me try to do my own thing. What the hell, just to try to give a little bit of option or whatever, and hoping that by doing that, hey, maybe some other collectors might open up turn their YouTube membership into a channel or whatever, and start doing their own little thing. Just give us different options of different types of content for those of us who are interested in socializing online, so I appreciate that you drop by and that you enjoy dropping by for me on Sunday nights, man. It means a lot to me. And you're right, yes, when you I think it's fair to say that most people, when they decide, hey, I'm going to try to promote a convention, I'm going to start a new convention, they have it at least in the back of their heads, if not at the forefront of their minds, that, hey, if this works, if I can get it built up and work it, maybe somebody comes and wants to give me a big buyout, right? A nice chunk of change. And that's people think about that for sure. So,
and the number you got to hit for that to be possible, like, you really have to have like 100,000 subscribers and posting daily videos of at least 20 minutes in length for about a year to get to the point where that's even monetizable, that your time is reimbursed. So you got to love it until you reach that.
For
and
sure.
If you don't love it, people aren't going to watch.
No, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So Karen said 10 minutes ago, sorry, Karen, VIP prices for quick sketches? No, thanks. Is that what it was? Happening? Is that? Oh, yeah, I don't know. Okay, I thought you knew. Okay.
No, I don't know.
Okay.
Karen, tell us, was that the case? I mean,
was that the case, Karen? Do you know for a fact that if you pay VIP, you get free, like, quickie sketches? I'm not sure. Let us know. You can all sleep better. My plane landed safely. Hey, Carl. Wow, that's a really quick flight. Wow. We're still on. Imagine. You didn't even book the plane and we were on talking, and it's only been 2 hours and you've already landed. That's awesome.
Where's he, in South Carolina?
Oh, he's in Pennsylvania, actually.
That's still a pretty fast flight.
Yeah, it's pretty quick. Yeah. Drinks at the, look at him. You're really drunk now, Tommy. Drinks at the hotel, 15 for mix, 10 for a beer. Yeah, well, these are hotels with something going on, of course. But at the party, it was all free for 3 hours? Really? We had buffets everywhere. Not, mind you, that's nice for people like you who like to drink. But people like me, I'm a non-drinker. That doesn't mean anything to me, You're not giving me any freebies. Prices had to be high because something is expensive. Yeah, of course it's expensive doing these. Yeah, we know, man. But when you sign for next 3 years, price goes down. It will be a much different next year. Sign for the next 3 years? Is that what's happening? Okay. Some contract you're talking about that he signed for 3 years, maybe?
Oh, I see what Karen's saying.
Bill's hope was to break even. Okay, I'm getting there. Sorry, just I'm a little behind. Let me before you talk about it, let me just try to catch up real quick.
Yeah.
They got paid in mini golf. Okay, you're joking. Everyone that was there will tell you to be there next year. Of course. It was a wonderful show. I know it will grow, but I'd pay more for the ticket to keep the artist to guest ratio around the same. Okay. Well, I'm sure Thursday coming, you'll probably have the chance for you guys to all give Bill all the suggestions or whatever. All of you that were there, give suggestions, I'm sure, at some point this week, if not Thursday. Incredibly good show. Yeah, I'm sure it was fun for everybody. Again, I'm just only talking about the financial viability of it and how long can you go doing a show if it doesn't, right? If you can't get into the black, how long can you do a show of any kind when you're in the red, right? Before you have to say, shit, we can't do the show anymore because there's no more money now, Yeah, so that's business, right? Business has always interested me. So from that aspect, I'm just curious. That's all, I would hope that it gets successful because the hobby, like I say, it's tiny, relatively speaking. And so therefore the hobby should have something that is dedicated to it, that's specific to it, which isn't also involving comic books.
But I
What
mean,
I mean?
just the idea of a curated artist alley is itself exceptionally rare. Like when you go to a regular Comic Con, Artist Alley they'll sell the table to anybody who's going to pay for it. And so like you sign up, are you a retailer? Are you an artist? And they kind of put you in certain places on the convention floor based on what you answer. Tables are available in different sizes, and you are a commodity to that convention production team. So, I think that just even that concept is a concept worth doing, and that there are definitely ways to make money. But, I think that say you're not necessarily an A-list artist, maybe you're a C-list artist. That's someone who's still a working professional who's working on a title that people read, love, and want the artwork from. If you have to pay for a table for being a little bit lesser of a commodity than the top flight artists, you'll pay just to be in that room with that person who's going to have more expensive art and your art's a little bit cheaper. You're drawing the same characters. There's a decent amount of expectation that you'll do well, that you'll definitely recover if the tables aren't too expensive. So I don't think that the tables are going to be free for every artist. I don't know that they were this year.
Yeah.
But certainly moving forward, that will be an expense that someone will pay for. And if it's a destination type convention for art collectors, then fledgling artists who have been vetted to some degree will absolutely pay to exhibit. And that gets you halfway into the black.
Right. Yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see, right? We'll find everybody. We'll find the hobby. We'll find out soon enough. It was a puddle jumper from DC to Philly.
Also, he had already been in another. He was.
Oh, okay? We were assuming you were in Florida, leaving Florida. That's why. Okay, there you go. Wow, you couldn't get a direct flight from Florida to Pennsylvania? Shit. Or is it just because you wanted to save some money, so you went for the double flight thing? That's interesting. I visited with a collector who I chatted with closer to the beginning of my collecting for the first time. Multiple groups of collectors, and Friday with a few collectors I never knew. So great. That's what it's all about. I'm not drinking. Not now, you aren't. So Matt, is this someone you wanted me to highlight, Matt?
Yeah. So
Matt
Karen was saying in the last
prices for quick scan. Oh, that was she's talking about. You made a suggestion, right? In a moleskin. I was replying to something.
Let me clarify that. That when we were discussing it, the price that was the VIP price, what it wound up being, we were pitching that anybody who paid that VIP price got a 2-hour of free sketch collecting on Sunday morning or whatever. And I think that enriched the value of that VIP experience. And I think that depending upon what artists are in the room, that people would be paying for it. Because I've seen some really, really rudimentary drawings from certain people being sold for $700, $800. And so like if you have someone of the caliber of a Frank Miller or a Jim Lee, even a stickman with their signature next to it all of a sudden becomes something that's worth a couple $100. So maybe again, you're talking about an art dealer, who has access to a lot of published art. To her, it's not maybe so exciting, but there are going to be collectors that would love it. And I mean, if Ian could get a little sketch from everybody who's worked on Guardians of the Galaxy,
right,
and put it together in a themed book. And a lot of collectors have themes, right? Like I remember the Death books that were going around, Death of the Endless, that were going around in the mid 90s at Comic-Con. There were 2 books that crossed paths, and they became really, really famous for having like every known artist of the day who was alive illustrating in it. You had, Mobius was still around. Mobius did a death sketch in this guy's book. Bernie Wrightson, Kaluta, like everybody was doing it. So that can be a little bit more special. And then artists will elevate, they'll look through it as they get to their page and be like, oh, so-and-so just knocked this out of the park. I can't do something simple. And they'll do something a little bit better. I mean, yeah, granted, a quick sketch is a quick sketch. But look at Lake Como. I mean, Lake Como, the artists sketch for free all the time.
Right. That might have something more to do with the fact that historically, traditionally, in Europe, comic book artists always sketch. It was expected to be a free thing. Kind of like in Europe, nobody tips at restaurants. There is no tipping, but here there is. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that. It's just one of those the differences between European conventions and what artists are expected to do over the decades versus over here, So,
but I defy that statement because it is not true. You can't get quick sketches at any con for free. You just can't. And a lot of artists don't make themselves available for that. So
I was just gonna say something, and I noticed Marcus said it for me. Women can, and I have to kind of agree. Like the artists see, because they see so few women,
right?
They tend to, okay, sure, honey, come on over, and I'll give you a little, whatever. For sure, they have a better shot at getting stuff.
Yeah, Howard Chaykin's charging me. He might not charge you, Karen. But but it is. I stand by the statement that if you have a room full of artists whose work is rare enough, if their convention appearances are rare enough, then collecting those sketches is worth the price of a VIP ticket, if not the price of admission writ large.
Well, Chuck is telling us that for 1.5 hours today, they were doing free quickie sketches for any attendees, not just the VIPs.
Perfect.
Yeah, but it's only, you I guess you have to be like, okay, you have to be like sort of watching the clock all the time, and okay, I gotta go, and okay, it's 2:00, I'm gonna go try to get my free sketches, whatever.
It might also be a case of the artist is like, I can do 10 sketches in an hour, and so drop off your stuff and come back and get them. I mean, so that you don't have to line up and you can hit different places. Who knows? I don't know. Right. I don't know how they did it.
Yeah. Oh, and I just wanted to say, where is it? Tommy, I've made it clear it has nothing to do with the money. We don't need to raise money for me. It's nothing to do with the money at all.
You hate airports.
I hate airports. I hate taking the taxi to the airport.
I hate
security, customs. I hate it all. I just hate it all. Yeah. I hate being in the airplane, squished in, whatever. Everybody's mean and rude. And yeah. It's just too much anger. I'm angry. I get angry, and haven't even left the house yet to go to the airport. I'm already like fuming. Yeah, that's what it's about, my friend. It's not about the money. Trust me. What else did he get here? Miller draws for the ladies. Frank Miller? Are you talking about Frank Miller? Right. I got 2 free Manic sketches today. Really? Everyone got a free sketch today? I mean, if they wanted.
Apparently from that point to that point, that 1.5 hour time.
Okay. Okay. You could pick your artists for a free sketch, okay, but you'd have to get in line, because if you get to that table and there's already people wanting to get a free sketch, you'd be in line, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. So it's not from okay, so it's way more limited than it sounded at first, Chuck.
Right.
Only about 20 artists participated. I see. Okay. It's about maybe roughly a third of the artists, or a little bit less than a third, something like that. Okay.
But I mean, if I'm Bill and I'm flying somebody in, I'm paying for their hotel room, they're sketching for free. Like,
well, but can you really say that though? Because
of course you can.
Any Comic Con, you got to pay for the artist to fly in and put them up in a hotel, and that doesn't mean you can force them to sketch at the con for free.
But very few artists get flown in and get free hotel rooms. Like even at San Diego, like a lot fewer than maybe you think actually get flown in for free. That
I would believe you, Matt. That I would believe you only because it's the biggest and the best, barring NYCC, let's say, if you want to argue,
Yeah.
Those are the 2 biggest, but that's kind of an exception to the rule. But the average con, I think most of them just get flown in, and I don't know, man. I don't know how things have changed over the years. So the way they work these things, I don't know.
I guess the way that you announce is gonna, like, if you use their likeness to promote the show. I mean, and making my point, right? They don't all draw for free.
Yeah. Capullo turned Karen down. He had a wife. That's why, Karen. He has a wife.
Let's be careful about what we're insinuating, but to the
No,
point, I
no.
think, like I say, if you could guarantee that, or if you could say these guests are guaranteed to appear and they're guaranteed to sketch for free, then that gives you a whole other level of interest to certain types of collectors. And again, we all have our own lists of what we want, who we want to collect, what we're looking for, and as it should be, but I think it does add value, and I think certainly, that, and for Capullo, I guess what's the value of having an artist there? If your idea is to have this be the thing, then you can afford to say no to artists who don't want to do that, or they can pay their own way and not be part of it. Like, well, if
I
you
just
want to
want to
be
make
part
it.
of it, yeah.
Yeah, I want to make it clear that if I were a working artist today, well, really in the last 20 years, even whatever, I would not sketch for free. I would not give freebie sketches or whatever. The majority of those things end up on online, whatever. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
yeah, it's just whatever. The sadly,
We'll say remarks because I think that's a little bit easier. Because I think
okay, fine.
because a remark used to be a sketch,
Yeah, yeah.
and and now sketches are, they're practically commissions, what we used to call commissions, and like the whole dynamic has changed. But
Yeah.
I think that asking people to do an hour and a half of free remarking is not a big ask for flying them to the show for them to sell their work directly and to book commissions. And to answer Karen's question, yes, people were giving away sketches for free for an hour and a half. And what do you say that about 20 people, 40 people?
20
I guess we'd have
people,
to scroll back up. So
20
that
artists.
wasn't
Yeah.
part of it. But you could have, that could be something that is breached and is approached, and that it's like, well, or first 5 people or something. Like there's ways of making it a thing without making it impossible for the artist. No one's saying you have to do 100 free sketches a day, like, and no one's
Hey,
saying what the
you don't.
degree of detail has to be.
Yeah, yeah. You don't got to sell me. I guess you got to suggest and tell these things to guys like Bill, and
Yeah.
tell him to say those things to the guests, the potential guests, or whatever, and
Yeah.
see if they're still willing to make it. Right.
I
I'm
mean,
with
if you're
Momoko.
somebody that's been on his show selling your work to the public 6 times, they should
Right.
probably sketch for free at your
Yeah, I mean
convention.
that's a little different. If you've been one of those guys like Chaikin or whoever, Dennis Cowan or whatever.
Cowens or whoever. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it's a little different for sure. Yeah, I'm with Maki Poo though. Yeah, I guess I hate lines. I
I mean,
wouldn't.
conventions are lines. That's what they are. It's a convention is a giant line. You line up to get in. You line up to go to the
Well,
table.
see,
You line up to go to the bathroom.
but I've been spoiled. I haven't had to get into a line and go through the front door to get into a convention since I was a teenager at the local cons here. See,
Humble
ever
brag.
no, I'm just saying I knew enough. I always knew enough people. So when I started flying
Okay,
to
that's just a
cons,
brag. That's not even a humble brag.
whatever, man. Look, I'm just saying I was fortunate enough from the late 90s onward when I was traveling a lot.
Mhm.
I knew always one person or another who could get me in with one of their dealer badges. Now, having said that, I will say I haven't really traveled in the last decade. And if I were to travel, I would probably still be able to get those badges, but they used to be given to me for free.
Yeah.
These days, if I were to return to like a big show like San Diego or New York or whatever, those same people who gave me the badges back in the day, they'd be now charging me $400 or whatever because they
To
make
your point, yeah, whether or
people
not I
buy
attend
them.
a convention is very connected to whether or not I got a free badge. But and I think most people are going to say that the only lines at the show were the lines for the free sketches, which were on day 4 ostensibly, right? Like cuz there's a Thursday night event, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So for an hour and a half, on the last day
Yeah,
of the show, there were lines. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
like, so the rest of it is pretty easy.
Carl was telling us he must know. I guess he's talked to some artists, and that
Yeah.
plenty of artists who pay for their hotels and flights
Yep.
at cons. I do know for a fact that yes, it is a fact that some do pay, but from what I know, because my friend here in Montreal is the organizer, promoter of the Montreal annual Comic Con, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I know over the years we've spoken, and he has said like, such and such artist reached out to me, wanted to come. He said, "What do you think in terms of like, is he going to help bring in people or whatever?" And I'm like, "Not really, you know." He's like, "Okay," because I have to decide like, is he worth paying for me to fly him in or whatever? And I'm like, "Oh, okay. If you're worried about does he bring in people because it's going to cost you," I would say no. Like that's up to you, but I would say
Versus just giving them a free table versus,
right, exactly.
giving them a free, meal voucher. Like there's different levels of participation. There's different levels of reward.
You pay for your flight. I'll give you a couple of nights of the hotel or, whatever, that kind of thing. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or some guys, if they're within a 5 to 7 hour drive, he'll say, well, okay, but you got to drive yourself in. I'll give you the hotel, but a couple of nights, but drive yourself in or whatever. I'll give you your gas money, whatever, just depending on, obviously the popularity of the artist and whether you think they can bring a few extra people through the turnstile kind of thing, right?
And their access, right? Because I mean, like the big thing about a show like this. So this was the first time that most of those Filipino dudes have appeared at a show. And so like that's a huge thing. Like if you're collecting a lot of people from the same stable, having access to all of them all at once is fantastic. Setting up commissions and talking about what it is that you want, that is a gift. Like there are there's certainly less language barriers between the Filipino artists than there are between French artists or Danish or Norwegian artists who although honestly everybody in Europe speaks about 6 languages, but there can be different language barriers, certainly the Japanese artists. So that having them there with their reps or whoever and being able to discuss stuff and set up opportunities for commerce is great for the artists and it's great for the collectors. So building out the right people to have, and this was kind of that long lead into the show and what it was going to be. And Bill trying to figure out, well, who do we bring and how much is going to cost? And then figuring out, I think when Kazra and people that were more sort of fiscally responsible, people coming in to say, well, look, this all costs money and this is what this is going to be. Do you really want to be flying people in from Italy? Do you really want to be flying people in from England? Because who wouldn't show up for Brian Bolland?
Yeah, exactly.
There are certain people that aren't in the United States that would be a massive draw. Like if Brian Bolland was going to be there and he had a stack of his art to sell and had sketches.
Yeah. That's
I had to run there from here, never mind fly. I had to start 3 months early and run. But there are certain people like that. And I'm sure that year 2 is going to be conversations between, that kind of think tank of who do we pay, who do we put up, what do we want from them for this?
Absolutely. Yeah. You'll get
and maybe feedback. Nobody from year 1.
And there would be what?
Maybe nobody from year 1. Maybe it's like Coachella, where it's like
doubtful because it also happens to be a thing where they a lot of the artists went there hoping to sell some of their art or whatever and make money, right? It's a business thing. So all the artists who were there this weekend who were happy with their art sales, the business they generated,
they want to come back.
They're going to be saying, sign me up for next year. Or they're already saying that, you know what I mean? So, so for sure. Yeah. But of course, then, whenever the feedback comes in and, if there was like feedback on like, certain artists who like, guys, table was empty all the time. Nobody seemed to want to, maybe you'll give him a table next year, but he pays for everything, you're not going to pay for him.
And if you're pricing at 2021 prices, maybe you didn't do so well, there's a whole psychology there, but also like, if you did well, are you even going to have any inventory next year?
Right.
And then you want to bring in a whole new group of people who can sell their inventory. And then, if these artists are realizing, wow, when I do this show, I sell everything. When I don't do this show, I still have 10 issues of comics, then they can get into that.
Look what Chuck says, man. That I know Joe was there, that I know, but I wouldn't have expected to have a lot of Bolland art. Prelims, I expected, okay, but
that he should have broadcast. This is again, but this isn't Bill's fault. This is
Yeah.
Joe's fault for not screaming to the rafters like I'm gonna
Right.
have ballin' prelims and finish pieces. Like, that's huge news. And
Yeah. Yeah.
again, just like you say, we're not getting a lot of reports day to day of the show itself. The only reports we were getting going into this is from Comic Art Live and
Yeah.
OAX and a handful of people that were like, I'm gonna be there.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Makipupu says there was a comic convention in Paris this weekend
Yes.
too. Yeah, yeah, that was the Angoulême festival. Yeah, but that trust me, Michael, that does not. That didn't affect anything. Nobody who went to Angoulême, was like, oh, I'm missing the OAX show. What
Right.
like if you went to Angoulême, it's because that's the kind of stuff you care about, the European type stuff. That's what you're into, way more than like American type comic book art.
Fumetti, bande dessinée,
Yeah,
cowboy art, detective comic art.
yeah,
Yeah, the stuff that's probably not a huge premium. Strip art,
yeah,
huge in
yeah,
Europe.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm obviously the show is only just ended a few hours ago, and I know that I have friends that are not leaving Florida until tomorrow night. And apparently, a bunch of people are gathering together to, I guess, go to one of those, I don't know, Universal Studios or one of those Disney type Star Wars or whatever thingamajigs, that you visit. So they're going to do that during the day, and then I know some guys are just going to leave the city tomorrow night. So I guess, like I said, right, over the next few days, as people finally get back from the show, those are the people who will be online on social media posting and talking about their experiences and stuff. And I guess we'll find out a lot more stuff. But from the preliminary indications, it seems 100% so far positive, which is a good thing for the hobby, I guess. Other than whatever may or may not have occurred with J.G. Jones, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess we'll find out about that as well. And Michael says they flew in Peach Momoko.
I mean,
she's kind of like the hot woman of the moment or whatever.
She's a prolific convention appearing artist, though. I mean, she shows up for a lot of conventions.
But it's, from what I know, it seems to be that's how she makes her living now. Like she's not a published artist, right? She's not doing she's not doing like regular, like she doesn't have a regular illustration gig.
Oh yeah, no, she does covers for everybody.
No,
she's done interiors.
No. But before she started breaking into the Marvel and DC, right? I think she was just kind of just illustrating and hoping selling in Japan or
and that's like the Zoe Lakay model, right? Like that she did fine art exhibitions, doing her style, kind of watercolor fantasy art. Some of it a little risque. And you could get those pieces for $900 to $1,300 in art shows in Japan. And the comic cover art was starting at $1,200 at the very beginning, and now her covers are the last cover I asked her about was $4,000. It was a really amazing Black Widow front and back cover, and I was like, whoa, that's a lot more than I thought it was going to be. But again, she's also extremely prolific. I mean, she has probably 8 covers a month.
Right. Oh no, I've been seeing, yeah.
I mean, so much to the point that on Keep It Thorough, I think his next show is the 10 worst Peach Momoko covers. I mean, which is sort of kind of a mean thing to do, but because
who did that?
Keep It Thorough.
That's another
comic book YouTuber. Yeah.
YouTuber. He did he did a video of the 10 worst covers.
Yeah, the 10 worst Peach Momoko covers.
Like, because honestly, he just doesn't like her work, kind of thing.
No, that they vary widely in quality. That when someone is that prolific, there's amazing stuff and there's not so good stuff. Yeah.
I see. Okay. Yeah. Biggest cover artist in the world, about to launch Ultimate X-Men. Oh, okay. She has Ultimate X-Men book. Yeah. 4K is still cheap only because she is prolific.
And I mean, that was a while ago. Like the last time I inquired about one
Yeah.
was a while. They could be $6,000 now. I have no idea.
Right, right. No, it's wild. It's wild. Yeah, but Angoulême flew her in, right? From Japan. I guess she lives in Japan, right? I would assume.
Yeah, she lives in Japan.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. Certain,
I mean,
there's always going to be
I don't know if
certain.
she's the biggest cover artist in the world, but
Yeah,
she's
yeah,
certainly in the conversation as the top 10, probably.
yeah. Prolific, certainly.
Yeah.
One of the most prolific. She might be the most prolific, but it always works in waves that way with cover artists, right? There's always somebody who, remember the days of Greg Land? Oh my God, it seemed like for years Greg Land was doing 20 covers a month. Every month it was like every cover it seemed the variant of Greg Land. Oh my God,
he was at OAX.
Was he there?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well he's a Florida guy, so that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
I'm waiting for Marcus to type with his light box, but
it's funny.
Scotty Young, another guy who makes a fortune.
Oh yeah, he was also that's right.
Not
he
a lot of work.
He was doing tons of covers for a few years, like tons. Oh my God. She's the biggest cover artist in the world since the pandemic. Okay, that's kind of an interesting statistic, Maki Poo Poo says top 5 for sure. Okay, I'll go with that. And J. Scott Campbell, as Karen says, exactly. Yeah.
Scotty Young's still a huge cover draw. His covers maintain value. So when a Scotty Young variant tends to be among the more expensive variants, and I think he only does incentive variants, which keeps his art rare. So like if you know that, because they don't pay a lot, by the way, guys. Like Marvel and DC do not pay a lot for cover art. And so honestly, cover artists make more money when they work for a shop that does their own variant than they do when they work for Marvel or DC. Yeah, Alex Ross is probably the #1 cover artist in the world.
Yeah. There's some exceptions for sure. You got your Alex Ross. I know. Arthur Adams gets paid a lot.
Yeah, Adam Hughes still making a fortune.
Yeah.
Stankiewicz still working a lot.
Yeah. Good to see you, Dan. You must be shocked that we're here this late, especially tonight. But Dan, did you go to the convention or no? Let us know. Yeah. So whatever, but good for Peach Momoko. Matt, have you seen? Has she done any sequential work at all?
Yeah.
Okay, and
she's done Demon Days. She did the interiors for the Demon Days.
Never heard of it.
It's an X-Men miniseries.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Can she tell a story fairly well, or?
Yeah, she does decent panel layout. I like her panel pages. Honestly, if you own a Peach Momoko panel page, you're in a much more exclusive club than if you own a Peach Momoko cover. So, and I think she's got other Marvel projects in the works. I think she's working exclusively for Marvel now.
Oh yeah.
Whereas she was doing stuff for Scout and she was doing stuff for other companies. So they must be paying her well enough. And I know, having seen some contracts for Marvel in particular and some for DC as well, that what they were offering people that weren't massively established was a pittance. And to spit some real numbers out there, so they were paying Marvel was paying $600 for cover art, and I think $200 per interior page. We'll say 10 years ago. And
but hold on now, because with such a huge variety of artists working for any given publisher, you mentioned Marvel. We'll use Marvel as the example. I mean, there's a massive range. Actually, it's not like it's some set thing where if you work for us, you get this much for a cover and this much for an interior. It's a range.
Well, that's their standard rate. Now, if you're a big name, you can ask for more. But and certainly there are people that make more. Obviously.
Okay. because I can. Okay, look, I'm not going to call you. I'm not saying that. Obviously, you're not a lawyer. I think you may be mistaken. Let me tell you what I know. And then this has kind of been the thing for like a long time, which was, and I got this from a few different artists, just so you know who I'm not going to name names. I got them, from the horse's mouth.
Sure.
That when it comes to the cover, the way they work it actually is that, so whatever your page rate is for the interiors, for the cover, you get 1.5 times. So it's not like, oh, if you get 200, 600 for covers. That I've never heard such a thing.
Is that more recently?
Oh no, what I'm telling you is I've heard this for so many years.
Huh.
And so yes, I've heard it recently. Yeah.
I mean,
in the last couple of years,
changes too. But and I also know people that got paid $10,000 for cover art.
Yeah.
When Dave Johnson was doing 100 Bullets, I think he was making between starting out at 6 and ending up at 10 grand a cover. And Dave can tell you if that's the case. I recall a conversation with him about that. And then he could sell the pieces for $10,000 to $20,000.
Sure.
Was nominated a bunch of times. I think he won once for best cover artist, frequently losing to James Jean, whose covers were starting in the 10 to 20 and now $40,000-$50,000 range on the resale market. But there was the promise of residuals that never happened. And then they can also reuse artwork again and again. So if you do a cover and it's popular, then that gets slapped on the cover of the omnibus. You don't get paid again for that.
No, that's right.
They run it as an in-house ad in all their other comic books. You don't get paid for that being run as an in-house ad. They own it outright, so it's like the kind of minimum that they set for when they're going to start paying you residuals is they're never going to hit it because they'll never publish it. They'll go to a separate printing.
Right.
That's why DC still owns the Watchmen, because it's never gone out of print. Back when that contract was signed, books went out of print, and so Moore didn't think he had anything to worry about. Little did he know.
Yeah. And that, yeah, I don't even want to get into that whole Moore thing, but yeah, that's a whole other story right there,
Indeed.
Yeah. But I don't know. Anything else anybody want to talk about before we wrap it up? I want to thank you all, of course, because I really had a feeling with so many people at the convention. I had a feeling it might be like 5 to 10 people here, and we've had regularly 20 something. And it's given us the convention has, even though it's funny, even though most of us here tonight didn't go to the con, and we haven't really heard from almost anybody who did go. Talking about the con still sort of allowed us to sort of do this for over 2.5 hours and counting. So that's kind of cool. Yep. That's Mark is so funny. Of course, I expect that from you. What are blue lines? Well, my young friend, blue lines are when, no, we're not going to do that.
Not to be confused with blue pencil.
Blue pencil. Show the IG post. What do you mean? What IG post? The IG post?
Is there a blue line post?
No. What's he talking about? What's he talking about? My IG. But what did I post? What are you talking about? Let me know. He's probably typing right now as we speak. Tell me which one you're talking about. They should have kicked a field goal. That game was hard. We didn't even talk about football. Why are you bringing up football? We talked about it.
He's talking about the JG Jones IG post
at the beginning. Oh, well, I don't follow him. How do you want me to show the post? I don't know what you mean. JG Jones. You want me to try to share that? Is that what you're saying? I mean, I can open Instagram, and am I going to find him quickly if I just type in JG? Let me try. JG Jones. I'm getting Jeffrey G. Jones. I guess, is that him? Okay, let me click. And, oh, yeah. Okay, here it is. All right, let me see. Why not? Okay. Okay, so let me... no, I found it. Thank you. I found it. Oh, is somebody leaving? Hold on. Oh, gotta sleep soon. All right, Maki Poo Poo.
Yes.
You gotta get up in 4 hours. Good night. Always great listening to Matt and Ruben. Thank you, man. I appreciate it, my friend. Thank you. Always great to have you here, of course. And you always learn something new. That's awesome. Glad to hear that. That's why we need different people doing different things. More channels, more options, the better.
Variety. Variety is the spice of
life, man. Exactly. Hold on. Let me get to the. Isn't it outrageous how the comic companies treat the artists? Without the artists, the comics wouldn't exist. Yeah, correct. I fear the worst for Stanley. Why? I mean, we've talked about it. Poor Stanley hasn't been by in like so many months. I hope he's alive. That's all I can say. Hey, Gil, what's up? Did anyone here participate and win any of the OAX? Number one Marvel fan participated and won 2 of them. I think that's it for anybody who's still here. I think that's about it. Yeah, not a lot of people here were at the show. So you're gonna have to wait throughout the week. I'm sure we'll hear from a lot more people. Maybe that's what I should do next week. I don't have a show planned next week. Maybe that's what I should do. Just do another one of these hangouts, and maybe we'll have actual people talking about, we'll have actual feedback from people that we can use.
Do a call-in show, Ruben.
A call-in show.
Do a call-in show. That would be amazing.
You organize it, Matt, and we'll do it.
I'm just full of ideas for your channel.
Oh my gosh. Good night. Okay, good night.
Good night,
yes.
Karen.
Yes, Matt is cool. Look at that.
Daniel.
That's nice. I know Jeff raised a decent amount of money for Dan Parsons. Oh, okay, great. Selling Hembeck cards. Oh, that's awesome. That's so cool of him. Very, very cool. Stanley hibernates for the winter. He's been gone since before winter, though. Chuck won a piece. Yeah, but Chuck, did you tell us which one you won? I forget if you told us which one you won. It was a good evening, Karen. I didn't win, but walked away with 12 new pieces. Yes, all Guardians of the Galaxy related. We know. Congrats, Chuck. Okay. And good day to you. It's good evening for me. Okay, excellent. Yeah, so let me share the screen here, everyone. So we make Marcus happy. Share the screen. JG Jones, here we go. This is his post. Okay, share. There we go.
Oh, Nick Pitara.
What about Nick Pitara? Oh, he won. Oh, okay, I'm back here. I won Nick Pitara's piece from Axe Wielder John. Okay, cool. Congrats, Chuck. Okay, so yeah, this JG Jones thing. For those of you who might be a little bit too, having eye trouble, it says, wife posting. To the piece of shit who stole the art that my husband worked so hard on for a paying customer, I guess he means a commission. We will find out who you are. Go ahead. Try and sell it. Here's a thought. Try working and paying for it like everyone else. Did you steal the ticket to get in here too? Piece of shit. And that's essential sequential saying missing art notice. These two, okay, at least they have the pictures. These 2 commissions went missing today at OAX. Please keep an eye out for them. We assume someone accidentally picked them up. Thank you. Okay. I can't get bigger images of them. What was that heart? Did I just do something? Did I just click
You just
like
liked it. Yep.
Oh, what the hell's the point?
Ruben giveth, Ruben taketh away.
Well, I don't know. I don't want to get involved with this.
Exactly.
But
right.
yeah, stop sharing. There you go. So there you go. At least I'm sharing partial amounts of art of the missing pieces. So if anybody watching this show is listening right now and seeing this, well, there you go. I did my part to try to help put the word out and get the word out.
My JG Jones is right. Oh, it's actually in the notebook, and it's not any of the pieces that were stolen.
There you go. And let me see. I love that. Oh, okay. Everybody's loving the Pitara piece that Chuck got.
I feel like such a fool. I had a piece up at one of the Comic Art Lives, and Nick reached out and he was like, "Oh, hey, do you want to trade?" And I thought he was asking if I wanted to trade for something in his collection, and I was not familiar with his work at all. Did not.
Oh,
I missed the amazing stuff he had done with Tom King, and I ended up
okay.
just selling him the piece. And then I was like, "Oh, I could have traded this for like one of the pieces in the Tom King run of this, that, the other thing," and I was felt a little foolish about it.
Yeah.
I love his work. And he doesn't do much physical anymore, right? Hasn't he gone mostly digital, or am I incorrect?
I don't know actually. Somebody out there, somebody tell Matt if he's gone all mostly digital or not. I'm not sure actually. A lot of people sort of seem to do that. Sometimes it's like they do it and I don't even hear about it, and next
Yeah,
thing I know, when I find out, oh yeah, he's been doing it for a few years now, and it's like, wow,
yeah,
really? Wow, that's kind of interesting. Yeah, good point, Karen. Um, Good point,
yeah.
but something tells me that it's like Comic Con and it's like a ballroom in a hotel. Do they typically install cameras in these ballrooms?
Well, you remember that the Queen's comic convention where the dude and his cousin ran interference and scooped some books, and the cameras caught it. Like
What do you mean by Queens? Where's that? What's that? In
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 Queens,
Queens,
New
New
York.
York?
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
a comic convention, and a kind of well-known comic dealer, whatnot seller, walked over and had a conversation with the guy, and his cousin was right next to him and was like stealing stuff. And they caught the whole thing. Like it was a kind of a big sensation. The whatnot seller is still on whatnot, and has like changed his account names on Instagram and things like that. But they got him. They
So
totally got it on camera, in just the cameras that were already in the convention hall.
whenabouts did this happen?
It's about 2 months ago, I want to say.
Really? So recently?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess it made the comic book media. Did it hit YouTube at all?
Oh yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't.
This was a big thing for a little while.
It
This
may
was like
just
the
be that
last
I heard.
big scandal before CGC, Reholder Gate.
Oh yeah, I may have heard of it and just didn't care because I just I've heard of so many of these rip off thefts that it's like it gets kind of, oh, it's another one. Oh, okay, whatever. So I may have just blown it off. But
Yeah.
okay, interesting. So in Queens, so this is it's like a small show because like it's
Yeah.
probably called the Queens Comic Con or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Oh,
for a small show, it's a pretty big small show.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is New York, so New York City still, so that shouldn't be surprising. But yeah, the video is somewhere online. Yeah, I guess it's on YouTube somewhere. It's got to be, right?
Yep.
Interesting. And so, wow. So these guys were stealing comics, and then they thought they got away with it, but ultimately, the people who got stolen said, "Hey, do you guys have cameras here?" "Yeah, we
Yep.
do." And then they looked at it, and oh shit! And they caught these dudes.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Do we know if like what's the current like pressing charges, or it's going to be a court case down the
They
road,
got
or?
caught on camera. The dealer like immediately was like, "Oh, that's my wife's cousin or something, and
Oh yeah.
I'll make good on it. I'll replace it." But it's pretty clear he was running interference for the dude to steal
Oh.
it. Like when you watch it, it's really evident what he's doing, and he's kind of like getting in the way, and like the other guy's like kind of like using him is to do it, and he's clearly. You couldn't be in that situation and not know that was happening if you were right next to the guy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
and so people are like, well, how often does he do this? Like, do we need to go back and check other stuff? And the guy's he's been involved in other controversies before. He does unlicensed characters on independent comics, like all kinds of really shady stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. And Marcus says that they steal and then resell on Whatnot. So
That
Whatnot.
is an accusation.
Okay. Is do you know if Whatnot is another one of these social media platforms that makes it somehow easier to steal, or?
It's like Home Shopping Network as an app. specifically for collectibles. And they've come under fire for the past year and a half because they've hired certain influencers and they pay them to come on the show. And then they sell stuff, and they also debut stuff. And Whatnot has started publishing their own comics. They've partnered with people like Comic Tom 101. His new comic that he wrote is a Whatnot Comics publication.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But there's like a big backlash against Whatnot sellers because they break a lot of the rules of the app itself frequently, and Whatnot does nothing to punish them. Whether it be, running movies in the background that they don't have the rights to, playing music without paying music rights. That's like simple, easy stuff that you should know better. That's covered in every single contract. They have a non-disclosure agreement, so no one can actually talk about the deals that they sell. But there's a lot of the biggest accusations are that it's become a platform for blowing out like pump and dump books. Like this, Clayton Crane,
limited variant, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Whatever crapola.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. But that's funny. I'd heard of Whatnot as in, some whatever app thing, but I had not heard at all anything related to the fact that it's specifically something for the collectibles community. I didn't hear that.
Yeah. They sneakers, cards, comics, records, all like most kinds of collectibles. They were, the acetate thing, like he's talking about, the Clayton Crane AcetateGate was the big thing where they were all selling that acetate that night after it was, the whole Black Flag Comics debacle.
What the hell is that all about? Acetate. So what about it?
AcetateGate was Clayton Crane made his own cover using he did not run it by Marvel, made his own cover to Ultimate Fallout, and it's just got like little kind of drawings on the acetate. It goes over the facsimile edition of Ultimate Fallout 4. Black Flag Comics were partnering with him to do a lot of these exclusives. And so they offered this at their table at C2E2. And what happened is a bunch of influencers cut the line and picked up entire boxes full of this comic. And they had some already graded at the table. Some were 9.8s, 9.9s, and 10s.
Oh, what?
This is an unlicensed variant. So it's not official. CGC never should have graded it. And there's 2 extra sets of staples in the spine. How the hell does a comic with 4 extra holes in it get a 10? So it caused like all this.
So, okay, hold on, because you're freezing up right now. I don't know if you can see or hear me, but you've frozen right now, Matt. So I'll wait to see if you loosen up. Yeah, so that's
silenced by Whatnot.
Hold on. You had frozen up for about 10 or 15 seconds. Did you not hear me?
I could hear you a little bit, but I couldn't see anything.
Oh, interesting. Did you keep talking?
No, I stopped when it went black.
Oh, okay. Because I kind of just like, oh, you're frozen. I don't know if you can hear me, but if you're frozen, I'll just wait a bit to see if you unfreeze or whatever. Okay, we're good now. What I was wanting to know, because I'm still not really clear on this, you're saying he produced some kind of artwork on a sheet of acetate?
Yep.
And this acetate is affixed. People take it and affix it to copies of Ultimate Fallout 4?
He did it himself. He affixed it to these copies.
Well, where did he get these copies? Where did he get multiple copies of this really expensive comic?
The facsimile edition of Ultimate Fallout number 4 was released as a variant, and it did not sell well. So Black Flag Comics had thousands of them, and so they chose to do a release of like 750 with this new Clayton Crane acetate cover, and then he would sign them and submit them directly to, or maybe even didn't sign them. I can't remember if there were any signature versions, but he submitted, because he has his own submission account, to CGC, and they just did it. And then the plot thickened. So everybody hates on Black Flag for letting these influencers cross the line and get these stuff. Some people are denying they did it. I ended up writing 2 articles on it for Go Collect. And then the kicker. So this is where, just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, Clayton Crane runs off with the guy's wife.
What?
Yeah. It's like Peyton Place with comic books. And so like it's
Wait a
just like
second.
the
Whose wife?
strangest the guy that owned the store, Black Flag Comics, that put him up to do
Yeah.
these variants. Yeah. But
Oh my
CGC
God.
came under fire for because they're not supposed to slab bootlegs or anything, right? But then they slabbed the very famous Cerebus bootleg and label it a bootleg. So that's one strike against their policy. And then they slabbed all of these other ones. So now they're asking to get them back to put them in the green, qualified slabs. But it's still like, how can you give it a 10? Like even in a qualified, how can it possibly get a 10? And that was the beginning of like a bunch of CGC controversies that just went one after the other after the other. And Whatnot has become like the outlet for all these things to get sold off that, people buy them for, with the FOMO for like 150 bucks or whatever. And then a month later, they're worth 30 bucks or 20 bucks.
Right.
But the biggest problem with Whatnot is that they allow legal gambling. They do these raffles. A raffle, every state has laws about who can do raffles. Most states, a raffle has to be around, it has to be like 80% or more. I think it is in most states. And I think there's 5 states that don't do this. It has to be raising money for a charity. That means a qualified, C3 charity has to be the beneficiary of money raised. And there's a whole bunch of other rules, or it's gambling. You see people do raffles all the time on Instagram. They are breaking the law. It is not just a small law, that is a treasury violation. You can go to jail for minimum 3 years for this type of stuff. You got to be really careful with this. And it's in the bylaws of Whatnot that you're not supposed to do this stuff. But they've partnered with people and they just let them do it. And then if you complain against them doing it, they'll just close your account. If you're another seller and you complain about a seller breaking the rules, if that other seller has more views than you do and generates more money for the platform,
They just shut you
don't
down.
get rid of the good guy. They get rid of the guy that rang the bell. And that's the biggest problem with it. And that's why there's a lot of backlash. I've purchased things on Whatnot. I've had a couple of very good experiences. I had an experience where I had to go to Whatnot and complain about the value that was promised for one of these grab bag type of things.
Okay.
And it was like very off. And they were like, well, we'll give you $100 credit. And I'm like, no, you'll give me my money back. And they're like, how about if it's 150? I'm like, okay, if you make me good on this, then I'm fine with it. But I'm not just going to go away. Like I will make a big stink about it. And they basically gave me what I wanted. I got to keep the comics, and then they gave me more than the difference of what the price discrepancy was that was promised on the video. And they keep an archive of every broadcast.
Oh.
And actually on the app, if you have an account, you can choose to record broadcasts too, which not a lot of people know about. But that also helps you monitor, like, I won this auction. This is what I'm supposed to get. And you have that as evidence to use in case there's a little, okey doke or switcheroo. But so and now it's just like I feel like all the really good sellers that had like inexpensive slabs that were trustworthy and good people got through their collections and got out of the hobby. And now it's just a bunch of paid influencers that are shilling these terrible variants. And that seems to be everything.
And so this video that Marcus is talking about, video of the husband crying, is he talking about the public video of the guy with the comic shop and Clayton Cranes took his wife?
Yes, he made a video about it. It is like, and I gotta say that, most of like a lot of the comic channels that can be pretty that do not suffer fools lightly actually felt so bad about this guy's grief, which was so real, and like he was clearly going through a crisis, that everybody kind of just like, he did some bad stuff, and clearly he's caught in karma. We don't need to add to this. But there were a lot of really mean memes that kind of made it out into the open in the meantime, like some really, really, effed up stuff.
And is there like a YouTube video of this, or is that what he's talking about?
I think he put it up on his Instagram Live. I think he took it down, but it's been shared. And
the husband himself is the one who did it?
He made a confessional video about everything that went down. Basically like trying to throw Clayton Crane and his soon-to-be ex-wife under the bus. It was so deliciously bizarre that it bordered
Wow.
on the surreal. And like I say, it was like a soap opera. Like every day it was changing. Once the story changed into that, I dropped out. I wasn't going to write about it because it was no longer about comics. But you know, and now you may notice anybody who has a Go Collect subscription, they don't have columns about investing anymore. They just run press releases of the new releases coming out. They've stopped doing it. They gave notice to all of us who were writing that that they were going to stop doing it, that they were opting out of it. I had been given pushback on several articles I wanted to write that were critical of CGC and different practices, pointing out that while guarantee is the middle initial in CGC, that there really are no guarantees. The guarantee in CGC's guarantee statement is that they're guaranteeing that they are grading a collectible. And so what makes it a collectible? The fact that they've put it in a slab. So it's kind of like this big circle of nothing. So the only company that actually guarantees is PSA, the card company. They have
Wow.
a very articulated guarantee of what they will replace. They stand by the grades that they give. Nobody else stands by the grades they give.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nuts when you think about what you pay to put stuff in a slab.
It's a crazy story and worth reading. Matt's doing an awesome job explaining it, though. Oh,
And I'm kind of the guy that wrote the story on it. So
really?
yeah. If you go to, I imagine that they still have it archived at Go Collect. If you type in
Oh,
their news or articles about AcetateGate, you'll get my 2 articles because it required 2 different articles to cover just the the line hopping aspect of it.
Go Collect. Okay, so if I just go to Go Collect website,
Yep.
and I have to do a search for acetate gate or something.
Yeah. Search for AcetateGate in their news.
Acetate gate. What do you collect? No, it just shows me a bunch of shit like posters and collectibles and stuff.
You might need an account to access the articles.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Let me see.
Never mind. I don't care. Whatever. I don't care
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah, we've covered it.
like Karen says, anyways, if I end up caring and remembering, maybe I can Google acetate gate and see what comes up or whatever. You know?
Yeah, it's
Not a big
bananas.
deal.
It's
It's
it was a
already,
gift that kept on giving. I mean, and now it's
wow.
back in the news because of all the CGC nonsense, like that. It's still happening. Like, you still see there are people that are still selling the Blue Label 1010, a 10.0 book.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
ReholderGate, there's like all kinds of stuff happening with CGC, and then even CBCS, who kind of came out swinging finally of like we have the best labs in the business. They had a couple of their reps, including West Stefan, and he's one of the 2 CBCS reps, and they just looked like deers in headlights. Like they had ostensibly prepared for this interview, and it was a pretty softball interview from
I
Comic
just,
Book Investing,
what,
and his
oh,
dad
because
works for CBCS. And he hit them with some questions, and they looked like ill prepared to answer. It was the craziest thing.
okay. Thanks, Jason. Jason just sent me an email with the acetate link. So thank you, my friend. I
Awesome.
appreciate it. Thank you. Sorry. So yeah, I'm sorry. What were you just saying about who you were just talking about? I wanted to ask you something about what you were just saying, and I forgot what I wanted to ask you. Damn it. I thought. Let me see. Hold on. Don't deal in comics. I thought it funny when I saw CGC graded counterfeit Cerebus wands. Yeah. Well, I can tell you, I sent in or I handed in Love and Rockets #1s, which for years I thought I had originals, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna get them CGC'd after having them for so many years. I might as well send them in. And they took them from me at a convention, and then sent them back to me, telling me they're all fakes. They're all the forgeries or whatever, the bootleg copy.
The bootlegs. But I
But
mean,
what
even those bootlegs are collectible. So, like, to a
but
degree, I even understand them grading those Cerebus 1 counterfeits because
yeah,
those were a known and sold. Like, if you bought the bootleg, you knew you were buying the bootleg. There's ways of spotting it. Um, And like, yeah, as someone just mentioned, you know, that the recent thing is that someone figured out a way of using a heat, like a blow dryer, like, and cracking open the case ever so subtly to be able to pull a book out. So you get a 9/8 of like a super rare book, like well, not a super rare book, but an expensive book like Spider-Man 300. And then you pull it out and you're like, actually, I know that this was a Mark Jewelers. So I want to send it in to get reholdered and have Mark Jewelers written on the label. So they go and they take a Fantastic Four, not very expensive, similar era book, and they pull the Mark Jewelers advert out and they open up the staples and they stick it in and
Right.
they line it up. And if it doesn't fit exactly, they trim the Mark Jewelers ad because no one pays attention to that. And then they put the staples back on and they stick it back in the holder and they send it back in. And someone just tears it open because they don't care if it's been tampered with. They're just going to reholster it. And
Oh.
now they send that back, but they swap it out for a lower graded book. So they have the 9.8, but now they pick up on eBay
Right. Right.
7.5. And now that
Yeah. Yeah.
7.5 gets graded to 9.8. Now they have the 9.8 to resubmit and get a 9.8 again on ostensibly and make a fortune. And with the Mark Jewelers thing added onto the label, it gets an extra, in the case of Spider-Man 300, an extra $5,000.
Mm.
And then someone figured out this isn't a 9.8. Look at the spine on this, you know. And here's the original picture of what this book looked like before it got reholdered. And here's the picture of that book that just got listed on eBay. And it turns out the same guy's done a lot of this. But if one guy's done it, more than one guy's probably done it. CGC said that they caught 450 books. That's probably the tip of the iceberg. And that's only checking this one account. What about the stuff he didn't sell on eBay? What about
Yeah.
stuff that he submitted through other people? You know, so it's become like that's created you know, a nadir in respect for CGC, which has helped push the prices back up on CBCS books, which honestly should have been the same price anyways.
Interestingly enough, I just remembered what I wanted to say because you mentioned West.
Yeah.
I ended up watching a couple of days ago. I watched an interview with West and one of his co-workers,
Steve. Yep.
Steve.
Yep.
On I think it was
Comic
it
Book
might have been
Invest.
no, I thought it was on Swaggle No, no, maybe
No,
not
Swag.
Oh no,
Swag, I
comic
think
book.
somebody else.
Oh, okay. It's the guy. It's the guy whose father used to be a big comic book
Yeah,
dealer.
David.
Mark.
David from
Mark.
Comic Book Invest.
David. That's it. Okay, so
Yeah.
his name is Comic Book Invest. Okay, yeah.
And I mean,
That's
he
the
was
one.
he was lobbing softballs, and it took them 20 minutes to say that their that their slab was basically tamper proof. And instead they were saying like, "Oh, well, it's tamper evident." And it's and people
Yes,
kind of like,
yes.
that doesn't make me feel any better. I mean, I mean,
Yeah.
I still got ripped off, you know, like, so, oh, you need to pay attention to the book. It's like, guys, all you needed to say is our slabs are basically tamper proof. And we have not encountered a scenario yet where it seems like anybody's been able to get it open without it being very noticeably damaged. And they spent 20 minutes dancing around it before they finally said it. And then the next day, CBCS makes the post, and they should have just said what was written on that post. So they came off sounding like they didn't want to say anything,
Right.
which didn't really instill anything. But then someone's like, "Oh, well, this is a lot better than the interview with Matt, you know, that was over on the other channel, you know, where Dave, West Coast Dave, Devengers and
Right.
Mint 99 or whatever were talking, and they give him the award, and everybody's just like, "Oh, dude, you guys are gonna look so crappy." And of course, they do look crappy for taking the award from CGC.
Mhm.
And like I said, if it was me, I would have been like, "Okay, number one, you can keep your award, and number two, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this." Now, in a way, Dave did a little bit of that, where he was like, "Well, what about this and this?" And they kind of looked at him like he was speaking Greek to him, and they
Yeah.
should have been prepared to answer everything. And it just shows you that, you know, Matt at CGC, he's a spokesperson. And these two guys are guys that just do the work, that have no business speaking on behalf of a company because they're just ill equipped for it. And there's so many things they could have said. But then I would have said, well, what about that 450 book collection? place for him to make him right. And no one knows this has happened, but they did. Wouldn't you publicize that? Like if you had a massive debacle where you lost a guy's 450 book collection for 2 years and he complained about it, wouldn't you, when you're making right on it, make everybody in the hobby know about that? So they're terrible at messaging. And then I also would have asked them, how come it took you 4 years of complaining to change that ugly ass label? Like, how come it takes so long for you guys to incorporate fan feedback? And if they had that stuff, it would have been like just everybody been like, okay, now we're all in on CBCS because their cases are absolutely superior to every other case on the market.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. So props to West and his crew.
Yeah, but not the way they explain it.
Right.
I mean, it was like they did themselves absolutely no favors. They would have been better if they didn't do the interview. Yeah.
You keep cutting in and out, just so you know. That's why he's saying that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this time it was your volume. Yeah, your audio cut out, but not your video. But now you're freezing up too.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, you must be on Wi-Fi, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah. That always happens to Wi-Fi people. That's fine. But yeah, no, it's all crazy and interesting. I would imagine though that all the whole CGC thing, that whole scandal, I would imagine that it kind of makes people go, oh, well, screw them. I'm going to send my next batch of books to CBCS or whatever, right? And it gives them more business probably.
Except CGC books go for more money.
Oh, no, I know.
Yeah. Currently.
Yeah. But then again,
and in that conversation, they never said we're going to change our cases. Like they never said we're making better cases. They said, "Oh, we're going to look closer at the reholders," and everybody's like, "Well, why weren't you looking closer to begin with?" Like it's not even real. It wasn't an apology. It wasn't a fix. It was like, here's this new shiny object of 9.9 pre-screen.
Yeah. See, you're freezing up again, so Marcus is making fun of you.
Right on.
So funny. Yeah, it's weird. I will say though, I saw and before all this happened, of course, I saw that another interview where West had mentioned that business, ever since COVID's really booming for them over there, and so shocking that as much as people always say, oh, you get quite a lot more for the same graded CGC, which is true. I know that, and I don't follow comics, as a market. But I know that. But in spite of that, he's out there telling, like we got more business than we can handle. Like it's that busy. Yeah. It's like, wow, you know what I mean? So it's kind of interesting, right?
You have to take into consideration a couple of things too, which is like I say, there were no promises of making better cases. And someone has mentioned in the chat, and we've seen it everywhere, that too many people are too invested in 9.8 CGC books. So that if they actually implement this 9.9 pre-screen, which is actually what a 9.8 pre-screen is, if you're submitting for 9.8, you're submitting for 9.8 or better. So they should be checking for a 9.9. And what they've told us on how they grade is every book starts at a 10, and then you go down. And then it loses half a point for this, or a point for this, or a tenth of a point for this. So if everything is starting at a 10, why would you need or be able to charge more for a 9.9 pre-screen? And that's what it is. They want another way to make more money. Now, CBCS, I've always liked their business model better because they don't charge you more based on the value of your book. That is an absolute conflict of interest. CGC charges you based on the price of your book on top of just the era in which they're grading.
Yeah, that I've always known, and that was one of the things that always pissed me off. To think like, are you insane? You're going to charge based on the value of the book? What does that have to do with you? That's none of your business.
Best interest, right? So that's an easily exploitable situation. If I make more money by saying your book is in better condition, why wouldn't I say your book is in better condition? If I'm on the fence about whether it's a 9.6 or a 9.8, isn't that going to push me towards a 9.8 to give that book a 9.8 because now I've just made more money for the company?
No, exactly. Bootlegging, good night to you, my friend. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. As always, appreciate you, buddy. Thank you so much. Yeah, no, of course, exactly. But that's what for me always like blew my mind, that like that the company still became this huge thing, that everybody still decided to go with their books, given that they're taking like money more than your base, sort of, whatever. How much does it take to how long does it take to grade a book? That's what I figured at the beginning they would do, right? Like, oh, when the whole business started, I figured, okay, whatever. Let's average it out. So a brand new modern comic, it'll be really quick, but older, golden age, that kind of stuff. Okay, we got to check that all
More
out,
scrutiny,
right? So and look for potential repairs and all that stuff, right? So okay, average how much it takes to do the newer ones. How much does it take, to do one of the older ones? Get the average, and okay, based on that much time, we have to pay how many guys do we have to look it over, and you figure out your price from there. And I figured, okay, that's it. So if it's $20 or if it's $30, whatever, that's the price.
Yeah.
And the fact that I have a $10,000 comic or a $100 comic, it shouldn't be any of your business. You should charge me just for grading the goddamn comic. Like, who cares what it's worth? It's none of your business, right? But and yet people seem to like complain, but still say, who cares? Whatever. I want to make money, and I'm still going to make money with CGC.
As often as
Grading.
collectibles still make the news for how much money things sell for, you would think that a smart class action lawyer would launch a lawsuit for conflict of interest against CGC on behalf of anybody who has ever submitted a comic to CGC. Because they'll settle. They'll settle,
Right,
and then they'll
right.
change the rule. It just
Right.
requires the threat of legal action, but nobody's done it
Right.
yet. Who better to launch such a lawsuit than their competition? So, hey guys,
Yeah.
it's CBCS. If you want to
Yeah.
put a big dent in the wallet of CGC, then encourage a lawyer to file a class action lawsuit on behalf of collectors, because what they're doing is a clear conflict of interest. If they're a publicly traded commodity, it would be illegal. Another thing that they do, which has been in complete violation, I said, by having guarantee in the name of the company and not really guaranteeing anything, there's enough nebulous language that if you file in the right court of appeals, that you could win. So you don't have to file in Florida because they're in Florida, because they do business all over the U.S. You can file in Maryland. You can file in Texas.
Yeah.
And if you're going to get a good judge in New York, you file your case in New York. So
Right.
it's amazing to me that they haven't been sort of taken to task over a lot of those things. One thing that you no longer see is we are the exclusive grader of this convention. You used to see that back in the day. Even PGX were the exclusive grader at certain conventions, usually internationally. So if you have the the Mexican variant of the Amazing Spider-Man Venomized Mary Jane Quinones cover, and you have it signed by Stan Lee and John Romita in a yellow witnessed slab, that is a PGX book, because they were the exclusive at that convention in Mexico where that book was released.
Right.
And so a good reason to buy a PGX book, right? But the PGX for a long time were known as a harsher grader than CGC was. And then they had a controversy where one grader was doing favors for their friends, got caught at it, given like high grades, and apparently soliciting for higher grades. And that ruined the entire company's reputation. But most of their, you can buy a PGX 9.6 and submit it to CGC and get a 9.8 more often than not. I would say 6 times out of 10. And so they had to shoot down the anti-competition of being the exclusive at the convention. And I don't remember who it was that filed the suit, but somebody filed the suit, and then no convention would lock into a position of having an exclusive grader. It's anti-competition. It's absolutely a RICO stat, and a lot of the stuff that they do. But then you got Heritage bidding on their own auctions, bidding on those video games that they themselves slabbed with their subsidiary.
Right.
How have they not been hauled into federal court for that? Well, the fact is they have been hauled into federal court for that 3 or 4 times previously, before they even started grading video games. You know, they've been threatened with losing their ability to conduct auctions in the United States several times over this, but it ends up kind of like they just run out, you know, the court of appeals for the case, or they choose to fight it the way that a lot of organizations have fought people who have come after them, and it's kind of bullying with a huge corporation with a lot of money. But you know, we don't look at that stuff enough, and no, and like you say, people complain and they still send their books to them.
Yeah. No, that's
You don't
exactly.
you don't punish a company that way. You punish a company by affecting their bottom line. You know, you punish them in the
Right.
wallet.
Right. Marcus wants to compliment you by saying, "I think we need a Matt segment when these controversies come up. We always got to bring Matt on, and when we have some controversies to talk
10 minutes
about,
of purgatory with Matt Kennedy.
weekend update with Matt Kennedy," says Rick. There you go. Hey, you never know.
Totally.
I don't know. I would love to do. I'd love to do. Have you on whatever if you want to talk about shit. Whatever. I'm up for anything. Whatever. It's
I'm
all
happy
good fun,
to,
man.
yeah. You know
Man.
me.
But for sure,
You like
I did
peanut
want
and carrots.
and I wanted to. I put the comments up, but I want to redo it for Marcus, because Marcus, I wasn't really sure if I'm following you. I made the point that, like, I always thought when CGC was talking about opening up, as you guys know, some of you know, I've told the story about how I was at one of those early dinners when they were trying to sell the idea, blah blah blah.
Mhm.
And Steve Borak was, explaining to us the idea, and all I said earlier, a few minutes ago, was that, okay, I always assume that, okay, you figure out how long it's gonna take to grade each book, and based on that, how much profit you want to make, blah blah blah, and that's how you determine the cost for it, no matter what the book. That was my thing that I thought should always happen.
Yeah.
But Marcus made a couple of comments that I'm not really following. He says, "No way, Ruben. I'm not subsidizing an expensive book.
He's agreeing with you, I think, that he feels like
My
that's
cheap book grading prices go up." I'm not sure if he's agreeing or not, actually. I'm confused.
Oh, because I think he's seeing it as like a bell curve where it would affect everything at the bottom and the top. What you're saying is the way that CBCS does it, which is it costs this much to grade a modern book, it costs this much to grade a Bronze Age book, it costs this much to grade silver, it costs this, and I think silver and gold are the same, to be honest, same price. And
Okay.
that's just what it is. And that's the thing. I think he's probably calculating that, well, if all modern books cost the same, then a cheaper modern book should cost less. But of course, that's never going to happen. And that's not how that would work. Is that honestly what
So he's saying they would raise the price on the cheap books to maintain profit margins. I still don't get it. What do you mean?
They would raise the minimum cost before they add in the tariff, shall we say, on the value, because CBCS books cost more to get graded. So you save money if your book is worth more than $1,000. You save money at CBCS.
Okay.
And then, of course, once a book sells for a record price, so like if you're gonna send out Amazing Fantasy number 15, if you send it to CBCS, it costs whatever a silver grade book costs to get graded. If you send it to CGC, it costs the value of the book on top of what it costs for a Silver Age book. And so you would be better off sending it to CBCS, except that book is in a CGC slab up until the last 2 weeks would be worth more because it's in a CGC slab. Right. Now you have to worry if it's actually the grade that's on the book, because that's a book that will be absolutely cracked open and had a lesser condition book slipped into that slab if they can do it, because the difference in price is monumental. It's tens of thousands of dollars from grade to grade.
Right. That's wild. Yes, Karen. The hour and a half and the 90-minute movie talk show is starting in a few minutes.
We talked about that, right? Yeah.
We did that,
man. Do a movie show.
We did that. I mean, we did it was the show and tell with Neon Dragon, which went 3 hours and 50 minutes and then morphed into movie talk for like an hour and 10 minutes. And so it was like a 5-hour total show, And that spurred on the idea of us to do a dedicated let's just talk movies show, which we did one episode of. It was more difficult to just kind of do that though. But that's funny. It's great we have someone. Yeah, look, Dan says it's great we have someone with such passion watching the hobby. So good compliment to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Look at that, David. He's making assumptions now. Yes,
he's committing
Matt
me.
will be returning once a month.
Wouldn't it be the first time I've been committed? What did I say?
Oh yeah, sorry. We got that. So heritage is an issue. They're definitely inflating prices. Okay, I don't want to get into the whole thing about that, but I know you would love it, Karen. I know you would want to talk more about movies. I don't know what this means though. Conan.
That's
what about
I just
Conan?
flashed my Conan Chronicles collection.
You just showed
it was out on Tuesday. It's officially not released yet.
Actually, you're freezing up. So, but okay, now you're unfrozen. Show it to me. Good now.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Oh, now you're freezing again. Shit. Okay. Okay. The Conan Chronicles. So that's like a collection of the 3 movies.
2.
Wasn't there 3?
There's a remake, and then there's also Red Sonja, which is kind of Conan adjacent.
Oh yeah. No. But from the 80s, it was only 2.
Yeah, Conan the Barbarian and Conan the Destroyer.
Oh, okay. Because I have the collection of the movies. I just thought it was 3, but okay, it's just 2 then. I bought the collection years ago. I still haven't watched it, or I guess rewatched it since the 80s.
That's the 4K box set. So amazing extras. Arrow is a company that I work with very closely, and they've just released the be-all, end-all of Conan in that collection. Obviously something very comic book related, obviously something very cinema related. So when you said movies, I happen to have it next to my laptop and wanted to show it off. But yeah, I mean, I've always, my paid gig is, in cult movies and in repackaging and remastering, and
it is
being the liaison. Yeah.
What do you mean? I thought your paid gig was the whole the gallery and all that.
These days, the gallery is secondary to my career. But it doesn't require as much attention. Yeah.
Oh, so sorry.
Back
so
into
the repackaging of movies?
Yeah, so I work with quite a bit of the independent, cult movie studios. I was brought in by their distributor 3 years ago to take over Arrow in their business in the United States to help them kind of work with retailers and with distribution. And I've worked with the guys at Severin forever. Years ago, we were all at Blue Underground and at Anchor Bay. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of my thing. My film collection is stupid. It's just like an incredible amount of stuff, and I've been trying to keep it to the same amount of space. So, but it's getting more and more difficult, and like obviously I can't sell the stuff. Like I can give it away, but I have to wait a certain amount of time to do that. Even.
Right. Oh wow, yeah, we learn with something new with you every time. Wow, that's interesting. So
the level of the onion.
Yeah. So now, is this on a employee or as an independent contractor type?
Oh no, I'm a salaried employee.
A salaried employee. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So cool, man. Wow. And you've been doing that for how long?
So I started in this part of the business back in 2001. Really. I had been on-camera talent before that. I was an actor. I did a lot of commercials, had a lot of pilots that went no place, but had started getting interested in licensing. I was already dealing in cinema collectibles. A lot of these companies would come to a shop I worked at looking for stills for their extra features. And I had a good knowledge, and they ended up hiring me outright. So I worked for Bill Lustig at Blue Underground when we were doing all the Anchor Bay special features. Then we split off, and it was just Blue Underground. Then I left, and I started a company called Panic House, and then a second company called Casa Negra Entertainment. And we started Japanese exploitation films, and then classic Mexican Gothic horror, and then ended up working for Paramount, Liberation for quite a while, Liberation Films, which was working.
Okay, with, but hold on now. Hold on, Matt. Like, this type of work has spanned roughly, because you said you started doing this type of stuff in the early 2000s.
Yeah, and I'd actually been at Troma even before that.
Oh, Okay,
Yeah.
so I don't. Okay, but so this type of work though, you've done it off and on, I guess.
Yeah, I left the
If you were
business
a
from an
gallery, because
executive.
I'm trying to figure out how all of this work fits in with when you were at the La Luz de Jesus Gallery.
Right. So when I left the entertainment business, I left for about 10 years, and I left to go back to working for La Luz de Jesus Gallery, and I ended up taking over as the gallery director. I had worked there
Right.
as a gallery manager in the 90s on Melrose, the early 90s on Melrose. The director at that time was a woman named Alex Sloan, who is, I think, one of the most innovative and best gallery directors that we've seen in the contemporary art world. She's the person who, if you know who Mark Ryden is, a lot of that credit goes to Alex Sloan.
Okay. I don't want to pretend I do.
Mark Ryden is very identifiable, has a lot of people who have ripped off his style.
Okay.
Did quite a few relatively famous album covers, but his paintings started breaking the barrier of selling in the millions of dollars, which for a contemporary artist is extremely rare, especially
Yeah.
for a an illustrative narrative artist. But I guarantee you've seen a lot of his work. His muse for the longest time was Christina Ricci.
Oh,
So
okay.
did a
Interesting.
lot of paintings of girls that look like Christina Ricci.
Okay. Yeah, I always thought she had an interesting look because of her big forehead.
8 head,
Yeah. No,
like
she was
this,
always
twice the
quite
size of a forehead. It's an 8 head.
she was always quite cute though. I always liked her, you know.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah. Yeah. So Nick Barucci, good to see you.
Nick.
Welcome back to welcome back to Jersey. I guess you're back. I don't know if you're home or at the airport or whatnot. Hopefully you're home by now. But yeah, it says the auction was a lot of work, but fun. There we go. Now he's, I don't know, Marcus. You said this earlier. Only buy slabs from EXP.
EXP. Who's EXP?
I'm not sure why you're saying that, but Nick did any online proxy bids win? Yeah, Nick. Good night, Dan. Thanks for dropping in.
Can
You
I
never
Dan?
told me. Yeah, you never told us if you actually had been at the show or what, why you came in so late tonight. But anyways, that's okay. Have a good night. Good night, Karen. I think that some did. I was going fast with the auction, over 100 lots. Okay. I don't know if it's, yeah, Jesus. Okay. EXP is the challenge we have.
Oh, I think I
Matt?
meant channel. Oh, I thought he was. We were talking about grading companies before, Nick. I thought he was saying that there was a new grading company called EXP.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no. Yeah, okay. So I didn't even catch that. Okay, okay. Yeah, sorry,
Yeah,
Nick.
because there's another grading company called EGS. No bueno. I mean, you're better off not slabbing it. Like they lose that much value.
EGS, is that the one that's based out of Australia?
I don't think so. I think they're in the US, and like
Oh,
he lets you pick whatever color you want on your label, which is super confusing. They're very
whoa.
poorly, like the label design shows no inclination towards style or the ability to lay anything out. It's just really generic looking, and they've put books in backwards in the slabs. They've misspelled the names of the comic books on the labels. And I just think they're really hideous slabs, and they're not particularly great slabs either. For the longest time, they were using the generic resealable slabs, and they were
Okay.
just kind of like sealing them, and so not the best. I mean, if you're just slabbing a book to keep it in good shape, then just buy your own easy slab. So they are out of Australia. I know Halo's the one out of
Halo.
Australia.
Halo. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Karen's telling us that this one you're talking about is from Florida.
I think like they're all out of Florida. Right?
That's it. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is up with what's up with the state of Florida that it somehow, I don't know, makes it easy to open up grading slabbing companies? What's up with that?
It ain't
That's
the
a little.
humidity.
That's yeah. That's it. You're right. I was told to move quicker, speak quicker. Of course you were, Nick. You like to talk. Shit, if you and me did an auction together, it would never end. It'd be like the 24-hour marathon. I believe it was okay. Halo's out of Australia. We know. Nick can't wait. Thank you, David. Yes, for reminding us. Nick, can't wait to see the video. It's exciting to see where the market's going. Yeah. Nice getting there. Yeah, thank you, everybody. And thank you, Nick. Thank you for trying to rally the likes again. I didn't ask once tonight. I forgot all about it. Florida is loose with regulations, kind of like Texas with their auction houses, right? Yeah. Interesting. Rally a few more. Thank you. What do you mean get the 30? You just told me we got the 38. Let's rally a few more to get me to 30. You said we were at 38. You got me all excited. Now we're not.
Likes. People took their likes back.
Oh no! You said we were at 28. It was a typo. Well, of course that makes sense. We were at 28 because they never even asked for people to do it once, so that's fine. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate it. I did not bid. Okay, you're too busy. You can't bid on. You're the auctioneer. How are you going to bid if you're the auctioneer?
Well, if he was at Heritage, he could do that. But
True. Supposedly. Heat gun and
allegedly.
That's the word.
I mean, but when the owner of the company wins the auction and publicly brags about it, I mean, it's no longer alleged; it's fact.
Well, no, that's true. That is very, very true. Dick Narucci won a lot. That's so funny. All right, guys. Well, I think that's about it. I think we should probably call it a night. It's only 10 of us left now after having as high as, I don't know, more than a couple of dozen. But yeah, it was fun, man. That was really fun, Matt. Thank you for dropping in and deciding to jump in with me, man. Yeah. It's so cool because because I've been, of course, I last time you were on, I wanted you to come back eventually anyways, and to be able to have you sort of off the cuff without, nothing planned or whatever. It's kind of fun, right?
Yep.
Just come in
and
like
chat. Riff tracks.
It's like what? Like
riff tracks.
Riff what?
Riff Tracks is like the thing that replaced Mystery Science Theater 3000. It's like they don't really seem like they're so prepared for the movie. They just kind of like get on and do their thing. But I think it went well. I had a lot of fun. I appreciate it. I of course always thank you for ever inviting me on and to have me kind of speak my piece. And I'm a fan. I'm a fan of what you do. We get each other. That's an important thing.
What's that?
We get each other. Like
we get each other. Yeah. No, for sure. No, I really appreciate you, man. Thank you, David. Thank you so much. Really great for you, David. The best show ever for you, David, since it's later in the day for you in Australia. It's a little bit more comfy to have to be here. Thank you, Karen. Really appreciate it. Good night to you as well.
Good night, Karen. Unless we're starting movie hour now.
Yeah. And you know what? She would stick around if we were going to start talking movies. I'm telling you.
It'd be the three of us. We'd have to have her on, and nobody would be watching. It'd just be all three of us talking to each other.
Right. Well, it would be.
Nick would be the moderator.
It would be 5, I would say, because I think Marcus and Rick. Marcus would probably stick around for movie talk as well. Yeah. That's so funny. It's not a lie if you believe it. What's that about?
Well, that's going to get litigated pretty soon in the Supreme Court.
That's so funny. But yeah, thank you again, everybody. Really, really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. And actually, Matt, can you just not hang up and stay with me for a sec till we get off?
Yeah, I'll hang out. Sure.
Okay, cool. So yeah, thank you, everybody. And again, just wanted to say I do not have any thumbnail to show you for next week because I don't have anything planned. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to scramble to get something done for next week. See if I can find somebody who wants to do a show and tell or something, whatever. Whatever. But I guess you'll find out when I schedule whatever I do. I'll schedule it. And if you're subscribed and get the notifications, I guess you guys will find out then. And that's it. So thank you. Marcus, I'm torn because I love Patrick Mahomes. I love Kelsey. There's a few Michigan guys who play on the team. But at the same time, I really love Christian McCaffrey. And most of his career has been spent getting injured. And I was excited for him to go to the 49ers this year and hopefully not get injured. And he didn't. And he had the greatest season like in ages, like the best running back of the year this year. So I kind of would like to have him just for that win it all. And plus because Mahomes already has a couple in the last few years. it's hard. I'm going to be torn. I don't know who I'm going to decide to root for, but I'll be happy in the end for whoever wins. So we'll leave it at that. We'll see. But that's in a couple of weeks anyways, right? I think that's in a couple of weeks. Yeah. Root for Swiss. For Taylor
Team
Swift.
Dazzler.
Yeah. Good night, Rick. Thank you so much as always. Or the Moody Man. Yeah, exactly. The Moody Man who missed one tonight. And I feel bad, but of course, I gotta, well, there you go. There's another Michigan guy on their team. So it's going to be tough. Michigander, yeah. And the Lions did, look at all these newbies. I've never even heard of Roman Curtis. Roman Curtis, Lions had a great season. I'm a proud fan. Roman Curtis, you need to tell me, have you ever been here before? Have you watched silently before and just never posted? This is the first time your name has ever appeared in the chat, and you seem to know that I'm a Lions guy. I guess you probably saw my graphic, of course, for tonight's show. Yeah, tell us why you're here. Who brought you here? How'd you get here? Are you an art fan? Are you into comics? What are you doing here? Happy to have you. Always happy to see new people. And Eternals, you're back. Wow. And I didn't even know you were here. You were a great show. Thanks, Ruben and Matt.
Thanks.
See, I appreciate that, but I kind of hate it too. Because I'm like, for him to know that it was a great show, that he enjoyed it, that means he'd been here all along watching it. And he never said a thing.
When I was doing like college radio, the antennas frequently only reached a couple of blocks beyond the campuses. And you'd get like some old woman would call in and she'd be like, long time listener, first time caller. And I feel like there's like a lot of that happening in the chat today, which is great.
That's funny. Oh, thank you, Gil. Great show and insight. The insight all came from Matt tonight. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you. So Roman Curtis. He's your guy.
Is he one of my Vegas guys?
I don't know. He says Matt Kennedy is the smart guy I know. LOL Foro. What the hell does that mean?
Awesome. Oh, yeah. Totally. Yeah. So, because I appear on Thorough's show a lot, and yeah. So,
okay.
Yeah, it's good to have some cross pollination for sure.
Okay. Yeah, but how would he have known that you weren't planned? You weren't planned as a guest. How would he know that you were here?
He's silently watching.
I guess so. Wow. Okay then. Okay.
Yep.
All right, everybody. Thank you again so much. So, yeah, we're actually starting to gain viewers. But yeah, thanks again. Had a good time. Thank you again. Of course, Matt, stick with me for a sec, will you?
You got it.
And everybody, thank you. I will, I guess, catch you all next week. And yes, next week, unless something weird happens, it'll be at the usual time, 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific. Is that it? Anything else you want to say by any chance before we go, Matt?
No, you can catch me as it says below my name at Pop Sequentialism for Instagram and most of the other things. Check out the website popsequentialism.com. I got a lot of comic art and animation stuff for sale on the site. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
And Instagram, is that Pop Sequentialism?
At Instagram as well. Yeah.
At Instagram. Yeah. Okay. Excellent. All right, thank you. And yeah, we're not going to get into the whole stolen thing. We already talked about it, Nick. Yeah, hopefully it'll get found out, whatever happened this week at some point.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, everybody. And Roman Curtis says, Detroit Lions and Michigan State fan. Oh, Michigan State fan. Hold on a second there, Roman. This is Michigan, baby. This is the Michigan team you got to be rooting for. Come on, dude. Come on. I'm not going to open it up because it's nicely folded, but there we go. All right. But at least we're together on the Lions. That's it. So that's good. I appreciate you. Thank you. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night, and I'll catch you all next week. Peace.